Sleepy town settled for the night, where every lawn is tailored just right. And it's about time that the back porch light comes on. At that house down the street, at that house on Magnolia Street.
Hey, Witchy!
Hey, Witchy!
I'm Justina.
I'm Christina. Welcome to Magnolia Street, your one and only musically inspired practical magic fandom podcast.
Every week, we deep dive on different aspects of the movie and the books, as well as treat your ears to our very own practical magic-inspired original music.
On this week, strolling down Magnolia Street, we're digging up the tangled roots of one of the most legendary plants in history. We're talking the Mandrake Root, or also known as Mandragora, from ancient mythology and biblical love fruit lore to its dangerous role as a hallucinogen, narcotic, and surgical anesthetic. The mandrake has fascinated healers, witches, and storytellers alike for thousands of years, so we'll explore its reputation as both a poison and a cure, the chilling myths surrounding its human-shaped root and fatal scream, and its presence as a magical talisman throughout history.
We'll also uncover how the mandrake found its way into art, literature, and pop culture, from Shakespeare to Machiavelli to comic strips, and how a modern kibbutz even experimented with mandrake wine. And yes, long before the Harry Potter craze made screaming mandrakes a household name, the 1998 film Practical Magic slipped in a sneaky nod to this magical root, planting it firmly in the Witchy cinematic canon. But before we dive in, though, we have a couple updates this week on the PM2 film production, right?
Just two things. The one thing was like early last week. It looks like Sandra's kids, her little kiddos, who are now not so little, joined her on set. The article said Sandra enjoyed a rare public moment with her two children, Louis, who is now 15, and Layla, who is around 12 or 13 now, although her exact birthday does not appear to be public knowledge. The two teenagers recently came to support their mama on the set of this highly anticipated sequel of Practical Magic 2. So it says here that in the photos, one of the photos with her kids, she's as Sally Owens wearing her vintage style outfit. I couldn't find this photo, but I'm guessing it's her blue trench coat. But then this also says her son Louis stood beside her in jeans and button-up short sleeve shirt with his mom. They're almost the same height. I mean, he looks taller in this picture. So I guess in this other photo, they're talking about her daughter was in a little pink dress. But we just wanted to comment that that is so neat to see her kiddos, which we don't see in the public eye. Maybe it's just new to me to be following this, but it says that, you know, she adopted her two kiddos back in the early 2010s. She announced that she had adopted her first child, which is Louis. When she was around 46, Louis' arrival came just around the time of her divorce with her ex-husband, Jesse James. Then in 2015, she adopted Layla from foster care, who was just over 2 years old at the time. And fans were just reacting about how grown up they look, because he's going to be a tall kid. He is only 15. It says they were quick to comment that she never ages, but they were just stunned to see how grown these kids were. And from another article, this was saying, so what is different for Bullock is her movie choices now that she's a mother of two. The actress said that her kids affect which movies she decides to film. You want them to be able to see something you've done, she explains. So I'm wondering if her kids had ever seen Practical Magic 1.
Oh,
and they were like, yeah, make another, mama.
I'm sure they have.
The other thing that popped up was this very short little snippet of Sandra Bullock and Joey King together at what looks like a concert, maybe? All I can see is, yeah.
I think I saw that it was a Coldplay concert I read somewhere.
Okay. So this was posted. There were a few different ones that we reshared. One was from Safe Bullock and the other one was Bullock Archives. It doesn't look like a movie clip to me. So I think they were just out having fun at a concert. And you said you think it's a Coldplay concert.
I love what Sandra's wearing here. Her
Yes.
off the shoulder sweater and her hair. I love when she wears her hair wavy like that.
I do too.
Very
And
Sally.
it's not like the 90s puff, where you used to wear just the front.
Yo, can I just say I still wear my hair poof like that?
I do too.
I'm in Jersey. I have to. It's part of the culture.
I love it. It's interesting to see her posture this way, though.
Yeah.
It's very, kind of self-comforting. I don't know, maybe it's just her natural way of standing, but it's funny
Yeah.
how similar she looks. So Andrea, my neighbor down the road who does the bees and who gave us the tequila, she could be a doppelganger for Sandy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, so like looking at this photo, I'm like, oh, that's my neighbor. But
That's so funny.
it looks like they are the only two there. We didn't have any images of any of the other
Yeah.
actors.
So who took this photo is what like
Right. Who was at this
who took this
concert?
picture? Is was do you think Nicole's with them?
I don't think so. This was like just a really quick video of,
Okay.
that we got to reshare.
So I'm
But
wondering if it's somebody that they know that's with them that took this, or was it some rando and just somebody who just spotted them and then posted it to the internet?
it looks like a rando. It looks like, let me get my phone out quick and zoom in because it looks kind of
Okay.
gritty, and far
This
away.
wasn't posted to her. Well, she doesn't have an Instagram, right? Does she have an Instagram?
No, this was a reshared from Safe Bullock and Bullock Archive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And Joey's got her red hair, so she's got to be Kylie.
You know what I saw there? I think I was trying to find more about this picture. So I was just Googling, but what came up was, I guess, Joey King was at Disney. So she had on mouse ears, and I wanted to reshare it because it was really cute. I'll look her up,
Oh my God. Yeah, right.
Cute.
Yeah. So I don't know if everybody has seen these two posters flying around. Okay, clearly not official posters. Who are those kids to the left?
Who are all these boys?
Who are those people? There's not even that many kids in the Book of Magic, right? So I could see if maybe they were trying to pass off that girl next to Sandra as Kylie or Antonia, or the kid below, the older kid that kind of looks like the same age as the girl above, maybe as Gideon. But who are those two little boys?
Alex says, hell no.
Right? Yeah, but like not even just that. Let's take a little closer look at all the spelling, okay? I think this one isn't that bad, but the one below it is like wonky as hell.
You're talking about the one with the face on it?
Is that Lee Pace? That looks more like Colin Farrell to me.
That guy is Lee Pace.
That's Lee Pace? That doesn't look like Lee Pace to me.
It does look like Colin Farrell.
Maybe I'm used to seeing Lee Pace with the facial hair, but that dude looks like Colin Farrell.
Funny.
And that house, what is that house? That's clearly not the Owens house. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
So it says okay, read the top. Read the top.
Practical Mayak analysis. Magic
What
2.
Wait, or you could say anal yes.
Analias.
Anal yes, practical Mayak 2, anal yes. Okay, wait, weird. So it says practical Mayak 2, and then below it says magic 2, and again in parentheses, anal yes.
So it can spell magic. It just decided to change it. Practically and magic. Practically and magic too.
Testicle magic.
Yeah.
Practical and magic 2. October 2020. Okay, it's not even being released in October. It's a September release, right?
What is this word?
Wait. The curse only ends when the long-held secret is exposed. Family truth. Tragedied and magic.
Tragedy and magic.
Tragedy and magic.
Only in theaters.
So weird. Sandy and Nicole look great on that poster, though.
I would choose that one over this one. This one looks like Stardust, that movie Stardust.
Yes,
With the light
definitely.
and dark, the cool and warm tone magic glitter. Those are fun. I like seeing things like that.
Anyway,
That's fun.
I just had to share those because those came across my feed and I was like, what is this? This is definitely not real. Not real. Not
AI.
real. Remember that lady in the plane where she was like, I am telling you right now, that motherfucker is not real. And that's what I said when I saw these posters. They're not real.
I love seeing them out together.
And about.
Yeah. And knowing, like we shared Lee Pace, his interview where he was saying that it's been just like fantastic working with them, but also like he's living in the UK now,
Right.
to work on this project. And Joey King, like we said, is also, she had a Instagram story saying I'm in the UK for a while. And so that's kind of cool. You know?
Yeah, it's also cool to know that being that we're not seeing any new leaked footage of behind the scenes like we did, like, the past couple weeks, it could be one of two things. They could either be filming on a soundstage some scenes right now, or they could just be having some downtime, enjoying their time together and enjoying the time in the UK.
Yeah, agreed.
And then we just had a couple patron welcomes. We have one from Graham's Tales, who joined about a week or two ago, but she commented, was this on the Patreon, this comment that says, "Hey Steenas, it's time to join you on Patreon. There isn't many places I can be this excited about this movie than with this group. I'm wearing my husband out with my oh my god every time there's a new update. Excited to become part of the community. Lindsay."
Lindsay, yeah. Yeah, when you join our Patreon, I guess there's a welcome survey and you can comment or, so this was the first one that we've ever gotten. So
that
thanks,
is really
Lindsay.
cool. Somebody by the name of An Eye for Pretty messaged us on our Instagram and said, "I absolutely love the podcast. Can't believe I'm only discovering it now. You two are so entertaining. Keep it up." And she also posted a little Instagram story, shouting out the podcast, saying that she listens to us while she's in the garden, which I thought was really cute and
I
fitting.
love that. You're gonna love this week's episode coming out, all about autumn gardening. That's exciting. Thanks. I'm glad you're listening. And you found us.
Yeah.
If y'all are listening in, make some posters. I want to see how unhinged they can get.
Bonus points if you add us into it.
Yes. Stevie Nicks too. Yes.
Right? Yeah. Have fun with it. Send AI all the batshit crazy prompts. We're here for it. Okay. This is a quote or a poem by John Donne. Do you think it's Don or Dunn? It's Donne.
Dune.
Dune?
June Dune.
June Dune says, "Go get your falling star. Go and catch a falling star. Get with child a mandrake root. Tell me where all past years are, or who cleft the devil's foot."
I like that.
Creepy.
The foot in the dune.
The Devil's Foot by June Dune.
I like it.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about the film first, and I know some of you guys are probably like, "What are you talking about? A Mandrake Root in the film?" Because that seems like a Harry Potter thing, but lo and behold, we're going to tell you about it right now. So, the scene where Sally is begging the aunts to bring Michael back, right? After flipping the page, she's flipping through those pages of the grimoire, she lands on a page, and in the wide shot of her crying over the book, you can kind of see the page to the left, and it kind of looks like a Mandrake Root, right? Which
it does. I would for sure peg that as a Mandrake Root.
Yeah, it's got like the Mandrake Root has that like brown base, but then it's got like those wild like leafy fronds like sticking, like hair kind of like sticking out, right?
Yeah, it's always depicted as having this like fan arch of foliage above it.
Okay, you described it a lot better than I just did. Exactly what you just said, not what I said. Fuck what I said. That was bullshit.
Keep it in.
Yeah, but it looks like a Mandrake Root, which may seem random. Like, why the fuck would she be stopped at a page with a Mandrake Root? Was it, and does that have any relevance to this particular conversation that she's having with the aunts about resurrecting her dead husband?
Does it?
Actually, it does. It is actually very relevant to this very conversation that she's having with the aunts. It was not just a random page that she stopped at, okay? Because later on in the film, after the girls mistakenly kill Jimmy on their joyride from hell, right? Jillian has this brilliant idea. She says to Sally, "When Michael died, you went to the aunts and you asked them to bring Michael back." So Sally reminds her that they couldn't do it because they said he would come back as something dark and unnatural. So what do? They go home and pull out that very resurrection spell that the aunts warned Sally not to do. And wouldn't you know, when they flip the Book of Shadows open to the resurrection spell page, one of the key ingredients of this spell is, can you guess it?
It's Mandragora.
It's Mandragora, aka the Mandrake Root. 2 ounces to be exact. Let's take a look at this Constitute spell page. So on the close-up of the page spread of both the frog page on the right and the Constitute spell page on the left, with all of its spell ingredients, you can see what kind of looks like a mandrake or some kind of root figure on the page. And it looks like it could possibly be some other tree or herb, or maybe possibly a mandrake root. Maybe not, maybe something else, but it looks like a mandrake root to me.
Picturing like Mandrake Root from, Harry Potter, I always think of it as like big. And I think because mythology and folklore make it seem big, but who's to say it's not the size of like a baby carrot? You know what I mean? Just very small. It could probably be be pressed into here.
Or a ginger root.
Yes. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. So it very much looks like a mandrake root. And what I find interesting about these ingredients in this constitute spell is that I don't think they used any of them except for maybe the braided wheat straw and the sage, right? And the candles list and the candles, 4 to be exact. But and I noticed that they actually only used 1 candle in that scene.
Oh,
so this spell calls for 4 candles. They use 1.
What?
So talk about trash witchery here.
Yeah,
okay?
or is it 14 candles?
It looks like, oh yeah, that looks like a 1 next to the 4, right?
But if you look at the other one listed, like the 1 tablespoon of henbane pulp, that one is written differently.
Oh,
so maybe it's just a chicken scratch, but just,
all right.
Just as a thought.
Okay, so they needed 4 to 14 candles, but they still used 1.
Either way, they're wrong.
Either way, they're trash witches, and they should not be doing this spell. They shouldn't even be touching this spell with a 10-foot pole. So, yeah. All I know is that there was definitely no Mandragora or Mandrake Root present at this resurrection, right?
I'm curious to know what Sally was pulling off of the apothecary shelves when she goes in and she's gathering her implements and pulling out of the shelves. I'm wondering if we can go back. And I know it's dark and we probably won't be able to see. However, if we overlay what we know from the Jillian and Kylie in the apothecary and where everything lines up, wondering if we could figure it out.
Maybe. And if it's too dark, maybe you could pop it into ChatGPT and say, can you? I think I tried that in one of the past episodes, and it was like it's too fuzzy or whatever, too dark. Okay. But it's worth the shot to go back and try that if
I would be interested.
But I'm wondering, there's no Mandragora present in this spell that they do with Jimmy, right? But it's in the book. Like, that's one of the ingredients that the spell calls for, and they completely disregard it. Don't even attempt to follow the ingredients to the spell correctly. And I'm wondering, is the Mandrake Root in the spell as an ingredient, is it supposed to be some kind of like tag lock, like sympathetic magic tie, to use the Mandrake Root as kind of like a stand-in for the person who they're trying to resurrect?
It might, like a voodoo kind of little doll.
Exactly. And maybe that's why the spell went awry, because they didn't have that very key piece that they needed, that tag lock, to kind of like imitate Jimmy's body. You know?
I want to take a close-up look at the still of everything that's on their table, you know, because I know they got incense burning, they got a candle lit, but I want to know what else is sitting there on the table because I've never looked.
Yeah. Well, they do use like whatever, was it the braided wheat straw and the sage, because they do smoke the room up, right? A little bit. But yeah, that 1 candle, no mandrake. They're just raw dogging this spell, like not even.
I gotta go watch the scene again.
Yeah, go watch it back and take a look at that constitute ingredients list. They don't even have half of that out. They just decide to, break out the ready whip, the cool whip, right?
And get the needles going.
And they're like, oh yeah, that'll do. Okay. But then I also want to point out, this movie came out in 1998, right? Well before the Harry Potter craze. The Mandragora, at this point in film history, it wasn't really mainstream yet. So the fact that it's in a spell book in this scene, and just a very quick flash, if you don't pause it, you'll miss it. It's just such a sneaky little mention, because it's not even something that the girls say out loud when reading the ingredients and the directions to this spell. It's never even vocalized, so you miss it. So just for a point of reference, the first Harry Potter book was published June of 1997, around the same time the Practical Magic movie was being filmed. However, the Mandrake Root did not even make an appearance in that first Harry Potter book. The second Harry Potter book, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, which first featured the Mandrake Root, was first published in the UK on July 2nd, 1998, and then in the US on June 2nd, 1999. So I feel like it was the Harry Potter movie that really put the Mandrake Root on the map. But let us not forget, witches, that Practical Magic did it first. You just missed it.
Right. I want to be this woman, whoever this herbalist is in Harry Potter. She looks so fanciful.
I forget her character name. I'm not really up on my Harry Potter, like all the character this and the lore and the that and stuff, but like I do love that scene, with the Mandrake Roots all the time. It's one of my favorite scenes in the Harry Potter movie.
Yes, and we're going to talk about more of They actually brought to life in this film what mythology has always said this root to be capable of doing. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's it for the movie. Just a very quick blink and you miss it kind of scene. And it's not vocalized. It's not even really like, you don't even see an actual Mandrake root being used. It's literally just an ingredient in the spell book and maybe the photo of it, if we're correct that it was an image that we're seeing on that page that was a Mandrake root.
I want to know why then would it be included in this spell? What are we going to learn that is going to link it all together and we're going to be like, boom, okay, that's the reason that that's used for a resurrection spell, right?
Right.
So-
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. But first we're going to get into the book. So you want to take us through some of the mentions in, we're going to start with magic lessons.
There were no mentions in Practical Magic. So in Magic Lessons, and this is Maria's story. So on page 26, it says, in the morning, after a quiet night of sleep, their visitor was in better spirits. I'm guessing this is when Rebecca comes to visit. Hannah crafted an amulet of apple seeds. She then added Mandrake, the heart of all love potions, first mentioned as such in Genesis, which we'll talk about later on, referred to as Circe's plant by the Greeks. The roots of this plant grow in the shape of human limbs, combining the aspects of a dragon and a man. It was so powerful that some refused to pick it themselves, and instead attached the plant to a rope wound around a dog's neck so that the dog would be party to the mandrake's wrath when it was pulled from the earth, for the plant screamed when it was taken. Its roots torn from the comfort of the soil in which it grew. Rebecca admitted she had cast a spell on her husband years earlier. She had bound him to her, bewitching him with the 10th love potion, a spell far too dangerous for common use.
So I did a little digging on that whole attaching the plant to a rope and winding it around the dog's neck thing in this passage, and that does actually come from an old legend, according to Europeana.eu. According to an ancient legend, when the plant was uprooted, it would scream, killing anyone who heard it. Therefore, the gathering of the mandrake was carried out following elaborate rituals. One of the most famous ceremonies required the help of a hungry dog who was tied up to the stem of the plant. When the dog tried to get to the food thrown to him, which lay just out of his reach, he would pull the plant out of the ground and, according to legend, would die soon after. So
no.
it looks like Alice did her research. She knows, she's up on her legendary or whatever.
Her legendary.
Yeah, she knows
Yeah.
what she's talking about.
Interesting. Yes. I'm wondering if they ever used any other animals. And are people planting this? I'm thinking for folk medicine, which we'll talk about. So they had to harvest it, and it comes with all these elaborate rituals. So my question is, could they just tie like multiple strings to multiple plants and then tie them to a horse and pull them out all at once and get this over with?
That would be more efficient.
Just going through dogs.
Let's go through all the dogs. Yeah, like, yeah, I don't know. It does
I
seem
don't
a little
either.
non-efficient.
I'm curious. This is such a like heavy folklore herb. I don't know what it's used for. Like, do you want this in your garden? Is it invasive? Well, I guess we'll find out. So page 77, this says, Caden was outside tapping at the window. He was relentless and frantic. All the same, Maria didn't let him in. She knew what he would tell her. Burn Mandrake in a brass bowl. Write his name on a candle and throw it far out into the sea. Repeat 3 times. Fly away as fast as you can. And I'm guessing this is in reference to John, because he doesn't like John.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, your familiars know best, right? Like if you're fucking around with somebody who's like not good for you, your familiar's gonna let you know it.
That's right. So we're gonna have a crow familiar episode in 2 weeks, I think.
Yep.
We'll talk about that then. Page 78. You are not mine, Maria said under her breath. But she had no pins, no red thread dyed with madder root, no rosemary, no St. John's wort, no mandrake torn from the ground, no myrrh oil, no will of her own, and she stopped the chant before it was complete, in mid-sentence, leaving herself defenseless. That was when he turned to her. Page 94. This was the moment when the worlds opened between life and death, the future and the past. She saw a man in the snow who longed for her, and a house ringed by a garden where nightshade and mandrake grew, where the lilacs were so sweet bees came from all over the county to drink from them. And that was it for the first book. The second book is Rules of Magic, the aunt story. So on page 48, Franny and Jet continued to work in the garden early in the morning before the heat of the day was upon them. They wore heavy gloves so they could tear the poisonous plants that grew wild. Jimson weed, holly, foxglove, nightshade, mandrake. Page 318. The more dangerous plants were ordered from the Owens farm in Rockport, Maine. In these, Jet grew in the greenhouse, still locked with an old iron key. No reason to take a chance that teenagers who could easily mistake wolfsbane for marijuana might manage to get inside and binge on poison. There, behind glass, she kept belladonna, hemlock, nightshade, which could induce visions, and was said to be be in the ointment that allowed witches to fly. Henbane, known as black nightshade, used by men to attract women and women to bring rain. Mandrake, an herb said to scream when plucked from the ground by its roots. Thorn apple, used for healing and for breaking hexes, but only in tiny amounts. Otherwise, death might result. So there again, she references the screaming. And then lastly, Book of Magic, page 29. In tall glass jars in the pantry, there was mandrake, belladonna, mushrooms of all sorts, blue beads, black feathers, apple seeds, the hollow bones of birds, doves' hearts. Page 122. It was the proprietor who greeted them at this hour of the night, and he quickly supplied the ingredients Vincent asked for: rosemary for remembrance, elm to connect with the inner voice, red chestnut for guidance, walnut to free them from shadows and trauma, mandrake to open the door to the other side.
There it is.
That's it.
There it is.
All these were burned in a brass dish. A block of wax held over the heat and softened into a human shape, which is of Eastwick style.
Yeah, and again, like that tag lock, right? I guess using it to imitate the human form.
Yeah. And then lastly, on 258, he wound up tossing Raudskina onto a fire in the backyard, fairly certain he had heard the book scream, as Mandrake is said to do when it is pulled from the ground. And there's a little bit about what this Raudskina is. It's the legendary book of black magic from Icelandic folklore, said to grant control over Satan. And, and was allegedly buried with the cruel bishop Gottskalk.
Wow, that's a name.
Gottskalk Grimmy Nikolason.
That's really
after
good.
he stole it, often referred to as the Book of Power or the Bible of all wizards. Raudskina was rumored to have been written by the wizard Thorkel, the grandfather of the bishop himself. Oh my.
Thorkel.
Interesting.
Bible of wizards.
Yeah.
Wow.
I
That's
like
epic.
So now we get to do an episode about the Raudskina.
I know. Well, we have the Magus coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a chunky episode. There's a lot.
Oh no.
But first, okay, so let's get into the nomenclature. Where does this mandrake root? It comes from Latin mandragora, and while the classical name has nothing to do with either man or dragon / drake, the English form made it susceptible to such a folk etymology. The French form main de gloire, or the hand of glory, has been held up as an even, quote, more complete example of folk etymology. The German common name is Alron. However, the Latin mandragora misidentified by false etymology to have a Draco or dragon stem as it manifests in the English from mandrake. This has caused the plant and beast to be conflated into an Aldraken in the sense of a household spirit. This combined form is not well attested, but the house kobold is known regionally as either Alron or Drak, D-R-A-K, both classed as, quote, dragon names by Weiser Al. I'm not sure who that is. Look up who's Weiser Al. It says Lily Weiser Al. The mandrake doll in German might be called Alron Manlin or mannequin. In Belgian or Flemish, mandragora mannequin, or in Italian mandragora Machio. In German, it is known as Galgenmannlin, or little gallows man, stemming from the belief that they grow near the gallows. Ooh, that's creepy.
Ooh, that is cool.
Yeah, also attested in Icelandic Pjolfaro, thieves' root. Certain sources cite the Dutch names, oh god, wait, hold on.
Pisdifey.
Pisdifey? Or little urine thief. Little urine thief, or urine devilkin, claiming the plant grows from the brains of dead thieves or the droppings of those hung on the gallows.
That's dope.
The name
so
brain thief, horse thief.
Horse thief. What are you guys watching?
The name brain thief for mandrake also occurs in English. Okay.
Lily Weiser Hall is an Austrian philologist and ethnologist, and those I've never heard of. An ethnologist is an academic field and discipline that compares and analyzes the characteristics of different people and the relationships between them.
Okay.
And philology is the study of language and oral and written historical sources.
I feel like that first thing is like a made-up occupation. She
Yeah.
gave that title to herself. She's like, I do a bunch of random things that don't fit in anywhere, and that's what it's called.
I'm just going to use all these vowels in one place.
Okay, thanks for looking that up. But yeah, little your thief.
I like that. Wait a minute. Okay. Little urine
gallows.
thief. How do you say that? Where's that word?
Pistuvelchi?
Cute.
Or wait, oh, hold on. Diffie. And then let me look up the other one again. Hold on. Because I'm sure
Little urine thief.
I'm sure I'm fucking that up. Okay, the other one is Devoche.
Devoche. Yo,
Devoche.
that would go along with our commoners t-shirt if we just had a picture of a Mandrake Root and then this word.
Jiffy.
Little urine thief.
Devoche.
All the Dutch people would be like, what the fuck? My boss being one of them.
Little urine thief. Alrighty.
Anyway.
Take us into some science.
So a mandrake is one of several toxic plant species with man-shaped roots and some uses in folklore remedies, which we'll talk about. Mandragora, better known as mandrake, is a plant genus in the nightshade family, Solanaceae. Depending on who you ask, there are 3 to 5 species, with the Mediterranean varieties being the ones ancient writers like Dioscorides describe most often. A few others grow farther east all the way into China. Botanically speaking, mandrakes are perennial herbaceous plants. They form big vertical taproots, sometimes forked into strange humanoid shapes, while their leaves gather in a rosette close to the ground. The flowers are small and bell-shaped, anywhere from pale whitish to violet, and later give way to yellow or orange berries that look deceptively edible. Like many members of the nightshade family, mandrakes are packed with alkaloids that make them poisonous. Yet it's that very potency that drew them into true traditional medicine, used for pain relief, sedation, or even as an aphrodisiac. A dangerous gamble since just a little too much could be fatal. With anything, right?
Yeah.
And then there are the myths. For centuries, mandrakes have been tangled in superstition, the most famous, that when the root is pulled from the earth, it screams, a sound so terrible it could kill anyone who hears it. Legend said that the only way to harvest a mandrake safely was to tie it to a dog, coax the animal to pull it free, and then cover your ears against the fatal cry.
Oh, God.
In Harry Potter, they're all wearing earmuffs.
Right, yeah.
So here we have a plant both feared and revered, poisonous and medicinal. Again, not our first plant on this podcast to be so.
Yep.
Humble in appearance, yet larger than life in stories it inspired. The Mandrake Root still lingers in our imagination. We're going to tell you all about it.
Do we have a baneful herb playlist for our episodes?
I don't
We've done a
so.
few now at this point, right?
Correct. We have our garden grimoire, which covers all of our topics.
Right.
We talk about plants, and then we have our Witch's Garden series, but nothing just for baneful. No.
All right, we
can make one.
Yeah, that'll be cool. So the story of the mandrake in science begins in 1753, when the famous botanist Carl Linnaeus published his great work Species Plantarum. In it, he described the Mediterranean species Mandragora officinarum, making it the, quote, type species of the genus Mandragora. Just a few years later, though, Linnaeus changed his mind and tucked it into another group altogether, renaming it Atropa Mandragora, like Atropa belladonna. Atropa, yeah. That little back and forth set the stage for centuries of taxonomic confusion. So ever since, scientists have argued over just how many Mediterranean species of mandrake there really are. Dioscorides, writing in antiquity, already spoke of, quote, male and female mandrakes. By the 1700s, authors like Garsault actually named them Mandragora, Mandragora mas, and Mandragora fomina. Later, in the 1820s, Antonio Bertoloni used flowering time to separate them into Mandragora vernalis, the spring flowering mandrake, and Mandragora autumnalis, which blooms in autumn. For a long time, books such as Flora Europaea recognized 2 Mediterranean species, M. officinarum and M. autumnalis. Then in the late 20th century, detailed statistical studies looked at the shapes, sizes, and features of hundreds of mandrake specimens. The results suggested that all those supposed differences might just fall within one highly variable species. Other researchers disagreed, preferring to keep a split between eastern and western Mediterranean plants. So even now, you'll see some sources treat them as 2 and others as 1. And when it comes to classification, mandrakes were long thought to be close relatives of deadly nightshade, that Atropa, right? And goji berries. Modern DNA studies place them in the large nightshade subfamily, Solenoideae, but in their very own little tribe. Mandragoriae, with no immediate cousins. Within this tribe, there are 2 main clades, one stretching across the Mediterranean into Turkmenistan, and Iran, and another in the Sino-Himalayan regions of India, Nepal, Bhutan, and China. Mandrakes are not newcomers either. The family Solanaceae mostly comes from the New World, but Mandragora is an old migrant thought to have arrived in Eurasia about 20 million years ago, likely carried in the stomachs of birds. Around 10 million years ago, the genus split into its different lineages. So, what species do we recognize today? Depending on the source, there are 3 to 5. So, here are the big ones. First, we have Mandragora officinarum and Mandragora autumnalis, the Mediterranean classics, stretching from Portugal across to Syria and Jordan. They're usually stemless with bell-like petals from pale greenish white through violet and berries that ripen yellow to orange. M. autumnalis sometimes has seeds more than twice as large as M. officinarum. Then we have Mandragora turcomanica, found in Turkmenistan and Iran, also stemless with violet petals and strongly aromatic yellow berries. And I'm wondering, like, if they're so aromatic, like in a good way, it may entice people to maybe ingest them unknowingly about the toxicity, you know?
Yes, indeed.
Very dangerous. Was there something else you wanted to add to that?
I just love our show. I just love
know.
like the research we've done because since having 50 plus hours of just plant talk, now whenever I go through the woods, I'm like, let's not eat any of this. Let's not touch any of this.
Yeah, those dark berry. Like you just had nightshade pop up in your garden not too long ago, and you're like, "Am I correct? Is this really it? Is it live in the? I've never seen it in the wild before."
And so I was like, even in something as simple as St. John's wort, though, like which is really good for you and like good for depression and a bunch of different shit.
Yeah.
Like it's just pop. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Be so fucking smart.
Do you know I have a podcast?
Are we better than everyone?
Are we better than everyone else?
That's all. That's all I wanted to say. It's cool. So I want to keep my eye open. I have no idea where this grows. I know.
Right.
Talk
Yeah.
about
Does
it.
this grow wild in the U.S. at all? Like,
No. Right.
because I know, like, you know, things migrate over here. Birds carry seeds in their bellies. Like, they could probably poop it out somewhere and it's bound to pop up somewhere. But I mean, like, is it like nightshade where it is rare to see in the wild, but it's not impossible?
Right. These leaves and the flowers combined are like a dead giveaway. If you've seen this picture or a picture, or you could probably spot it a mile away.
Yeah.
However, the leaves on this kind of look like it could be like a wild leafy green you could put in your salad. My
Right.
neighbor goes out in his yard and just picks weeds to put in his smoothie in the morning.
Yo, okay. People who do that, all the praise in the world for them. I don't have the balls to do that. I would kill myself.
I know. That's what
Knowing-
I'm saying. If this was not flowering, those leaves could definitely probably be confused with something very nutritious.
Those leaves look very similar to primrose leaves. I have a couple primrose plants in my front yard, and the leaves like that are very, I don't know how you would describe it, like kind of
Vascular.
lumpy. Yeah.
Shiny.
And the flowers kind of have like a violet thing going on. They kind of look like little violets or clematis or something.
Yeah.
They're very bright purple, very pretty.
Mhm.
But yeah, don't eat the bad. Okay, so the last one on this list is Mandragora caulescens, sometimes including M. Oh god, what's this word? M. chingahensis and M. tibetica. And this one grows in the Himalayas and China. It's more variable, sometimes sprouting stems with petals dark purple or yellow and berries ranging widely in size and form. So whether you're looking at the sun-baked slopes of the Mediterranean or the high passes of Tibet, mandrakes thrive in different forms, all carrying that blend of mystery and menace. Botanists may keep debating in the details, but the lore of the screaming root and its strange human-shaped body has ensured that Mandragora remains unforgettable, both in science and in story. And I put a little flowchart in here for your Virgo rising ass.
I love this.
Take a look. Okay, you want to read this for everybody?
Oh, Lord. Okay. So the Mandragoriae is separated into we'll just go top down. Mandragora turcomanicea.
I think Turcomanica, maybe?
Turcomanica. Why are you making me read this?
Okay.
Autumnalis, officinarum, calinescens, and chinghenensis. I wonder, is it the location, I guess, that they get these different names, right? Because
Yeah, it doesn't seem like from what any of this says. I mean, I know these are the origins of like where it's, was first seen being grown, but doesn't seem like this pops up in the US, but I could be wrong.
I was gonna say the same thing. No, I agree with you. Yeah, it could very well pop up here. And like thinking of the book, like, okay, the main Owenses in Rockport have this, but did they get it shipped in and just care for it in the greenhouse like they do in the Owens house, you know?
Yeah, and one of these said something about Portugal, so that makes me think of Samuel Diaz and how, I mean, he brought over the Magnolia tree, he brought over the tree of heaven, like he's brought over trees, and like maybe he brought over some mandrake root, mandragora.
Does Mandragora grow in the United States?
American mandrake, commonly known as May apple. Have you heard of a May apple?
I have heard of a May apple.
Okay, this says Podophyllum pellatum. Peltatum. Peltatum is it's native to eastern United States and grows there wildly in woodland areas. The true Mandragora genus, native to the Mediterranean. Okay, so the Mandragora that we were studying just now, that's all Mediterranean. All that does not naturally grow in the US. So talking about US mandrake, it's called the May apple, but I don't think it's not the same genus as the one that we're talking about today.
I see.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, glad we cleared that up. Good.
Right. And it's still poisonous, though. The May apple.
Yes. Yeah.
Still highly poisonous. All parts of the plants, it says all parts of the plant are poisonous except for the ripened fruit.
Interesting. I wonder if May apple shows up separately in Alice's world.
Ooh.
I have a feeling it does.
I didn't even think to look at that. I'm literally just discovering this now.
Do you wanna go through the books real quick and type in?
Yeah, let me see
if
real
anything
quick.
comes up? Let me tell you about how toxic this thing is.
We're gonna do a little side quest while Christina reads us that. Okay.
Yes, they are very dangerous. They're chemical compounds found especially in the roots and leaves, talking about the tropine alkaloids. More than 80 different substances have been identified in mandrake, and the exact mix can vary from species to species, and even from plant to plant. Their roots in particular hold the strongest concentration. Among these chemicals are some familiar names: atropine, hyoscyamine, scolopamine, scopolamine, belladonnine, substances also found in deadly nightshade. Some mandrake species even produce anisodamine, a compound with both medicinal and toxic potential. These alkaloids are what give mandrake its reputation. They act on the nervous system, producing anticholinergic, hallucinogenic, and hypnotic effects. That means ingesting mandrake can trigger a frightening range of symptoms. This is like your Jimson weed.
Yeah.
Her salad, whatever you're taking. Symptoms include blurred vision, wide staring pupils, so you're going to have like shark eyes, dry mouth, dizziness, headache, vomiting, a racing heartbeat. Some people become wildly hyperactive. Others sink into hallucinations. In extreme cases, the body simply shuts down. Breathing can stop and death will follow. Yet despite the danger, people have always been drawn to mandrake's strange power. In ancient medicine, the root was sometimes used as a narcotic, an anesthetic. Surgeons would risk its toxic edge to dull pain. Externally, the grated root was rubbed into aching joints to ease rheumatic pain. Taken internally, it was thought to help with melancholy, convulsions, or even mania. But the line between the, quote, healing dose and the lethal one was razor thin. This is why the mandrake has such a legendary reputation. A root that could sedate, intoxicate, or kill depending on how it was used. A plant that blurs the line between remedy, poison, reality, and hallucination. I want to tell you real quick. So I have a new doctor, right? First time meeting her, met her in person, great little office. And she was just asking, so when does your next episode for your podcast come out? I said, well, we have new ones every Friday, but we're recording today. We're talking about Mandragora. She's like, Mandra, what? So we're talking about the Mandrake Root. And I was telling her just a little bit about it. And she's like, is it one of those that you like kill your husband with? I said, you could. And she's like, I'm all about it. I'm like,
okay, Dr. Death, what's going on over there?
She had a little, I was like eyeballing her office up. She's got like little plants everywhere, but she had a bottle of room spray called Sea Witch.
Oh, right. We
had this like little, what are those called? Like all-seeing glass. What are those called?
Like 8-ball?
No, not like an 8-ball. Like what fortune tellers look into, like a seeing
crystal ball?
Yeah, like a crystal ball, but it was not see-through.
All right.
okay. I was like, well, you might like, and we were talking about teas and like how to calm, some relaxing teas and things like that. And we were talking
Be a
about
witch.
valerian, and she didn't know it was stinky. And I said, girl, you might like our show. So,
I was saying that to my doctor too recently.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
Look at
because
us.
like we were talking about spooky stuff and ghosts and like spirits and all that stuff. And she was asking
Awesome.
about my 444 necklace and yeah.
Awesome.
But like, yeah, everybody's a witch. It's fun.
Yeah.
So I went on that little side quest. No Mayapple in
Okay.
any of the books.
Bummer.
I'm kind of disappointed. Alice,
Too.
that one slipped through the cracks for Alice, I guess. I was curious, is Mandrake poisonous to the touch, right? Because we know it's poisonous, obviously, to ingest, but is it poisonous to the touch? And I found that, yes, it actually is poisonous to the touch. This says that, yeah, most of the, I guess, the hallucinogenic properties come from actually ingesting the plant, but skin contact can cause irritation. It doesn't seem like skin contact might cause death, though, like in the wolfsbane case. Like,
Gotcha.
wolfsbane is like, you can't even brush up against that, and
Okay.
it'll fucking kill you.
Okay.
So I was just curious, like, how poisonous are we talking here? Like, is it just the seeds? Is it just, ingesting it? Is it touching it? But it seems like mostly ingesting it, but I guess touching it can cause some mild irritation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wear gloves all the time.
Exactly. The same thing with like what's that stuff? The datura or whatever. My friend Heather had like a really bad react to that stuff. So Mandragora species have a long use in traditional medicine, extracts being used for their real or supposed aphrodisiac, hypnotic, emetic, purgative, sedative, and pain-killing effects. Tropane alkaloids are known to be effective as analgesics and anesthetics and can be used to increase circulation and dilate pupils, among other effects. Hyoscine and anisotamine are used medicinally in China. Continued use of M. autumnalis in folk medicine was reported in Sicily in 2014. M. caulescens, or as M. Chingaihes henensis, has been listed as a Chinese medicinal plant needing conversation. The presence of deliriant and hallucinogenic alkaloids and the sometimes vaguely humanoid shape of their roots have led to mandrakes being associated with a variety of myths and superstitious practices throughout history. However, the plants used in this way are not always species of Mandragora. For example, Bryonia is explicitly mentioned as the source of a, quote, mandrake or mandragora in some sources. Other unrelated plants also sometimes referred to as, quote, mandrake include Bryonia alba, the English mandrake, in the family, Cucurbitaceae, and the Podophyllum peltatum, the American mandrake, in the family Berberidaceae. Jesus. These plants have rooted structures similar to members of Mandragora and are likewise toxic. So I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say it's safe to say all species of Mandragora are toxic and none of them should be fucked with.
I'm there with you. Yeah,
no matter where you find it.
Yeah.
Right?
Peltatum. What a funny word.
Peltatum.
Channing Peltatum.
I wanna Channing your Peltatum. Did you ever see that, was it a TikTok video? Or that song, I wanna Channing your Tatum?
No.
You've never seen that song?
Put that in at the end of this episode.
Actually, I think it might have been an SNL skit when Channing Tatum was one of the special guests or hosts.
God.
And they made a song called I Wanna Channing Your Tatum.
Your Peltatum.
Your Peltatum.
Awesome.
All right, that brings us to our first break right now. Did that seem fast to you? Like that?
It did seem fast. That's okay. I think we've had some chunky episodes the last couple weeks, so that's
we're not
totally
used
fine.
to we're not used to flying this fast here. But yeah, we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we have a Mandragora card pull.
Awesome.
And we're going to get into the magic and the lore. What else do we got coming up? Folk medicine, biblical references, witchcraft and magic, obviously, and some spells and how to use a mandrake as a poppet. I have a fun little craft project for you guys later on. So all that and more. So stick around. We'll be right back. Hey, little witches! The Steen is here. If you've been listening to our podcast for a while, you would know how much we love using the Practical Magic Inner Witch Oracle deck by Grounded by the Moon.
And now we want to share the magic of Grounded by the Moon with you, our listeners. Joseph Benitez Egerton, the creator behind Grounded by the Moon, would like to offer this very special 10% off discount to all who wish to experience the magic of his practical magic themed tarot and oracle decks.
But that's not all. He also creates other divination tools like tarot workbooks, deck bags and altar cloths, pendulum kits, oil blends, cleansing sprays, smoke wands, teas, and ritual kits.
And let's not forget about his custom handcrafted, all-natural soy candles, where every candle is hand-poured and personally infused and charged under the light of the moon. They even come with a crystal.
And did we mention all of the ingredients in the candles are ethically sourced?
All of Joseph's offerings are just so magical. So go visit groundedbythemoon.com and use the coupon code Magnolia Magick for 10% off your entire order at checkout.
That's MAGNOLIA MAGIC. So get your discount today. Hey, we're the Stinas, and you're listening to Magnolia Street Podcast. I want to chant in your peltatum. Oh my god. I'm not gonna get that out of my head now.
I want to palpitate you, Channing Paltatum.
So fucking funny. Oh,
okay.
All right.
Welcome back. Here we go.
Do you see that pretty card? I posted a picture of it in the...
It is beautiful. I remember you pulled this out a couple weeks ago. Not very recently, but I was like, oh, that's so cool because they made it feminine.
They did. Yeah, usually when we see a Mandrake Root, it kind of either looks like a very like weird baby or a man, right?
Correct. Yeah, this one is very feminine. I love it.
Right. Yeah, it's got those beautiful, the foliage and the beautiful bright purple flowers coming out of the top. Kind of like a more kempt hairdo, fanned out hairdo, and not those like wiry, tangled tendrils like we usually see in Mandrake art. This deck is actually going back to the Herbal Astrology Oracle by Adriana Ayales and artwork by Josephine Clerks. Beautiful, beautiful deck. Full color.
Beautiful man. Beautiful man. Do you wear wigs? Do you see that one? I gotta send this to you. It's a Lord of the Rings like side quest. I will send it your way.
All for the side quest. So this is card number 45, and this deck is like all, I guess, folk plants and medicine, right? Let me find the page. Okay, so this card number 45, the Mandrake in this deck represents sensuality. This says, when you pull this upright, it stands for sensuality, discovering new forms of intimacy, finding the inner beloved, expression of healthy sexuality and abundance. Pulling it in reversed means block sensuality, shame around sexuality, creative energy misdirected, unchanneled desire, and its astrological rulers are Neptune and Venus. So this says, this is also known as Satan's apple, or the devil's apple, and man's root. Mandrake is one of the most famous mystical aphrodisiac plants. In ancient times, the dried root was soaked in wine and enjoyed as a love potion, and was believed to be a cure for infertility in women. Native to the Mediterranean, the roots of this unusual plant look identical to a little human. Also called love apples in the Old Testament of the Bible. We're going to get into the Bible in a little bit. The golden yellow fruit of the mandrake can cause intoxicating sexual desire, or it could kill you. I don't know. Pick your battle. According to the Kabbalah, mandrake was the symbol for becoming one, and the text alludes to it being used in secret mystical rites in ancient Israel. In ancient Egypt, mandrake fruit and wine were used as love offerings during courtship and consumed as aphrodisiacs. Mandrake is the embodiment of Hathor, the Egyptian goddess of love and fertility. Mandrake was also used in ancient Greece as a love potion and for ceremonial love rituals. Like in ancient Egypt, the aphrodisiac root was associated with the goddess of love, Aphrodite. Medicinally, it was used as a narcotic to relieve anxiety, depression, insomnia, pain, colic, stomach ulcers, and constipation. Isn't it wild, like something that is so toxic and can kill you is also being used to treat all of these other ailments? Like,
right. But if you think of it, this sounds like it's just going to give you the tummy burbles anyway. So if you're constipated, it's going to get things flowing. And it was also, you read earlier that it's a purgative.
Right.
So it's going to get anything, it's going to detox you.
Oh yeah.
With its toxins.
For sure. So although Mandrake has strong masculine signature, and maybe that's why it's often depicted as the shape of a man when we normally see it in, pop culture and folk art or whatever. Although it has strong masculine signature, its nature is much like those of Venus and Neptune. Mandrake powerfully shifts the body into a higher state of love bliss under the influence of Neptune, as well as Venus's lusty and sensual energy. And very feminine energy too, right? Venus is a very feminine energy. This says Mandrake is here to ask you to find new forms of intimacy. Ask yourself, what inspires bliss, joy, and passion in my life? Notice how you relax into flow and more easily attract what you need and desire when you focus on energy givers such as joy. Mandrake is here to assist you in liberating unchanneled creativity and sensuality, releasing energy from the sacral center, and activating your pleasure centers to experience a higher form of love. Don't allow unworthiness, fear of rejection, and inhibition of pleasure to stop you from experiencing higher love. Focus on giving your gifts to the world with overwhelming passion and opening up to receive fully and fearlessly. So, bring me higher. Sounds like Sally could have used some of this because, I mean, she seems a little, little reserved and guarded in those ways. So,
I wonder if the aunts mixed the molasses with the mandragora to get legs to open up.
Oh, you're probably right. Even though they never say anything about Mandragora, we know it's in the spell book, so we know they have it and we know they're using it.
That molasses must be like a Hail Mary play. Like it's like we had to pull out the molasses.
Oh, potatoes and molasses. Do you watch Over the Garden Wall?
No, I like the animation though.
It's very cute, but there's a song. It's such an earworm.
Oh no, like a Magnolia Street Stina song?
More annoying.
Oh no. Okay, good.
More annoying. And I can't say potatoes or molasses now. Not that I ever say the two together on the regular, but if I say either or, Avi starts singing potatoes and molasses.
Oh God.
It's good. Good song. It's a bop.
They fit a lot of information in that little deck.
Yeah. This guidebook is it's a little chunky.
It is.
And the print is very small, so they fit a lot on every page.
I love it. That's cool.
Yeah. And the artwork is just so pretty. Sensuality. Look at that. And yeah, it looks like a lady. Right?
That's something to display on your Samhain altar. I need to do up I still got Letha stuff on my altar. I gotta take care of. I'm gonna do that today.
Same. Yeah. I have my calendula petals and all that stuff for my solstice gathering on my altar. So I'm right there with you. I have to refresh. So many of the oldest known references to the mandrake suggest it was long understood as an aphrodisiac and a fertility aid, just like we read in the Herbal Astrology Oracle, according to the Encyclopedia Judaica. The earliest known reference to the mandrake appears in the Ugaritic literature of the 14th century BCE from a region which forms part of a modern-day Syria. The plant is mentioned in connection with the Ugaritic goddess of love and war, Anat, within a message from her brother, Baal, concerning love, peace, and passion. More widely familiar are the passages of the Bible which refer to the plant and its properties. The mandrake is known as the, quote, love fruit in Hebrew and is featured in the book of Genesis and the Song of Songs, both in contexts pertaining to fertility and sex. In the book of Genesis, 30:14 through 17, childless Rachel. I guess that's a character in the book of Genesis. Childless Rachel. Are they calling her a spinster without calling her a spinster?
Yes, I think
childless Rachel procures mandrakes.
Unless she is married. We have, I think, more detailed about this. Maybe they're married and they never had kids.
Okay. So childless Rachel procures mandrakes from her sister and co-wife Leah, and she soon becomes pregnant.
What's a co-wife?
I don't know.
Okay, so maybe she's like one of many wives?
Like, what I was gonna say, sister wives, like a Mormon?
Okay.
Mormonism here?
We'll find out more.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Co-wife Leah, and she soon becomes pregnant. Pregananat. In the Song of Songs, the mandrakes are used to woo in a love poem as they, quote, send out their fragrance, and at our door is every delicacy. Like the Black Phillip with the Duke, would you like to live deliciously?
The Bible is so sexy.
Other uses for the mandrake were studied by the Greek scholar often referred to as the founder of botany, Theophrastus of Euresus. Using interviews with folk medical informants, Theophrastus described the plant as a narcotic, but also noted that it could induce madness. Several other ancient Greek and Roman scholars left accounts of their studies of the mandrake, amongst whom the Roman physician of Greek origin, Pedanius Dioscorides, is prominent for his thoroughness. Dioscorides recorded how and why the drug was administered by different users and its effects, noting it could elicit a range of reactions, from wooziness to death. It reminds me of, like, in Scream when he's like, I feel a little woozy here. You're no
Good
Sharon
one.
Stone, Sydney.
Is that Matthew? Oh, Matthew Lillard.
Matthew
What a
Lillard.
legend.
Okay, so yeah, from wooziness to death, he noted the drug was well established as an anesthetic for surgery and a sleep inducer for insomniacs, and that its leaves were used to treat skin wounds. The mandrake's fame in antiquity was furthered through extensive study by other prominent scholars of the day, including the celebrated Greek physician Galen and the famous Roman author and naturalist Pliny the Elder, there's that name again, who wrote extensively about the plant. How many times has that name popped up on this podcast?
Many moss times.
That guy had his hands in, like, every fucking myth and legend and lore and plant and, you know,
He made
everything.
a name for himself.
So perhaps because the plant was so highly valued for its medicinal properties, rituals and beliefs regarding the difficulty and danger of extracting the plant emerged throughout the Mediterranean world that forms its natural habitat. A common theme in these traditions was that the mandrake root not only was human-like in shape, but could cry, shriek, and kill. Probably with its scream, right? In Romano-Jewish scholar Flavius Josephus, we also just talked about Josephus on something.
We did. There's more about him later.
Flavius Josephus' account of the First Roman-Jewish War, in which Jewish peoples rebelled against Roman rule, he writes about mandrakes at some length. In his account, he says, flame-colored and towards evening, emitting a brilliant... Oh, he's a poet. Listen to this. Flame-colored and toward evening, emitting a brilliant light. It eludes the grasp of persons who approach with the intention of picking it, as it shrinks up and can only be made to stand still by pouring it upon certain secretions of the human body. Like, we're talking about what we're talking about here?
A runny nose, we'll say.
Okay. Yet even to touch it is fatal unless one succeeds in carrying off the root itself, suspended from the hand.
Very nice.
End quote.
Very nice.
I was channeling like Johnny Depp or something. I don't know. And like a Captain Jack Sparrow, he talks very, you know, the roll of the tongue.
He pulls you in like the tide.
Yeah, exactly, like a tide. Right. By Flavius Josephus's time of writing, a tradition had become popularized of using a dog. There's this myth again, the dog as a proxy for extracting the plant. This practice, or at least some knowledge of it, has had some longevity. It is mentioned in a 14th century Italian text on alchemy and appears on a 13th century engraving from the Ferghana. Is that where Fergie lives? The Ferghana Valley. In a modern day Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan. By the Middle Ages and early modern era, a vast realm of lore surrounded the mandrake. By the 1400s, the mandrake was popularly endowed with magical properties. It was perceived as a talisman with miraculous powers to cure, to bestow fantastic luck on the wearer, and to entrance others. Some took to wearing them as good luck charms. This practice was vehemently discouraged by the Catholic Church, surprise, surprise, which argued its use was akin to practicing witchcraft. Part of this evidence against Joan of Arc during her trial of 1431 was an accusation of carrying a mandrake on her person.
No way!
Joan of Arc wore a mandrake root.
Whoa! I like her even more. That's cool.
They burned her for, I don't remember why.
For
witchcraft? They thought she was a witch?
On the legal documents, it said they accused and burned her for dressing like a man.
Okay. But not for witchcraft.
That's it. I think that was like a tag, like a little subgenre.
Okay, so it's like getting pulled over for speeding and then they tack on there's something hanging from your rearview mirror.
Yeah, by the way, you're talking to God. No, you're not. You're 14. Shut the fuck up.
By the way, you have a tail light out. That, basically, right?
Yeah.
It seems so. Interesting.
Yep.
So she was wearing a mandrake root, and that was also akin to practicing witchcraft in the eyes of the Catholic Church. So maybe a little column A, maybe a little column B. Like, you're dressing like a man, but you're also a witch. So you're fucked either way. Right? Okay. So these beliefs circulated while enduring legends surrounding the plant's aphrodisiac and fertility enhancing qualities. And this persisted in 1518, the Florentine theorist and writer Machiavelli authored a comedy called The Mandrake Root, which revolved around a ploy for the main character to have sex with and impregnate a local woman.
Okay.
Interestingly, beliefs in the positive attributes of the mandrake coexisted with sinister myths and connotations. Legends swirled in the Middle Ages that the plant did not reproduce through normal means, but instead sprung up on the ground where either semen or blood had been spilt, particularly underneath gallows.
That's fucking dope.
Okay. This idea surfaced in a 17th century French study of the plant written in Paris. This theme also featured prominently in the work of English playwright John Webster, especially in his tragedy The White Devil. The conflicting, contradictory myths surrounding the mandrake in the 1600s are illustrated in Shakespeare's use of mandrakes. The mandrake is a rather frequent trope in his work, surfacing in Othello, Antony and Cleopatra, Macbeth, Romeo and Juliet, and King Henry VI, and appeared alternatively as a curse, a charm, and a sedative. Was Mandrake Root, Juliet drank a poison, right? Didn't she drink a poison?
She drank belladonna, didn't she?
Was it belladonna? I don't remember how the mandrake root was used in Romeo and Juliet. Do you?
I don't either. We'll have to ask Mallory, because I wasn't into the Shakespeare growing up.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to talk to Mallory, not anytime soon, but eventually we're going to talk to her, like, you know, in the beginning of next season, probably, right?
Yeah.
That'll be, I can't wait to chat with her about Shakespeare. That's going to be fun. I want you to take a look at these medieval depictions of the mandrake root in, like, folkloric art. Folk art.
The way they draw the human body is hilarious.
This first picture, this is actually like an illustration of the whole process of a dog pulling out a mandrake by the rope.
Actually, all three of these pictures have a dog in them.
Right. And then, who's the little guy in the red on the right hand
The little guy.
He's got like an axe.
He looks like a farmer. He's ready. He's hoeing it up.
Do you think he's like, when the dog pulls it out, when the mandrake comes out, is he supposed to like cut the mandrake so it stops screaming?
Oh,
so
yeah. That would be yep, I can see that.
Yeah, this artwork is from 1520.
Wow.
Italy or England. Yeah, I'm looking at this art. And this other one's from 1894. It's just like a line drawing. So in the past, mandrake was often made into amulets, which were believed to bring good fortune, cure sterility, etc. And in one superstition, people who pull up this root will be condemned to hell, and the mandrake root would scream and cry as it was pulled from the ground, killing anyone who heard it. Therefore, in the past, people have tied the roots to the bodies of animals. In most cases, we've read about the dogs, and then used these animals to pull the roots from the soil. According to the European folklore, including England, when the root is dug up, it screams and kills all who hear it. This piece of lore goes back to centuries to Josephus's described method of sacrificing the dog to procure his Abaras, Baaras, can refer to a specific location and a magical plant mentioned in the writings of Josephus.
Okay.
A valley near the city of Herodium known for producing a plant believed to have magical properties, though it is now a forgotten term.
Okay, so it is just talking about the plant itself.
Yeah, or the specific location where it's found, maybe. Maybe he
And this
made
is
that term
Josephus's described method to sacrifice the dog to produce his baras. So sacrificing the dog to produce the plant from the ground, I guess.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. With the Google results where I just typed it into, it said it can refer to a specific location and a magic plant. So maybe they can be used interchangeably. But it sounds like this guy Josephus just made up this word and was like, all right, that's what it's going to be called.
Okay.
It was a medieval embellishment that the root shrieked when extracted, and so was the lore that mandrake grew from the spots where criminals spilled their fluids. Neither of these were registered by the ancient Greek or Latin authors. The mandrake is represented as shining at night like a lantern in the Old English herbarium. It's the oldest surviving manuscript of 6th century Leyden. In medieval times, mandrake was considered a key ingredient in a multitude of witches' flying ointment recipes, as well as a primary component of magical potions and brews. These were entheogenic preparations used in European witchcraft for their mind-altering and hallucinogenic effects. Starting in the late Middle Ages and thereafter, some believe that witches applied these ointments or ingested these potions to help them fly to gatherings with other witches, meet the devil, or to experience bacchanalian carousal. Romani people used mandrake as a love amulet.
Carousal? I've never heard that word.
Carousal?
Yeah, I looked it up.
Like noisy drunken party or social gathering. So you not
like a carousal? Like carousing?
Oh, you might be right. Like a carouse. Yeah.
Got it. All right. There was an article on Gestor called The Mandragora of the Ancients in Folklore and Medicine by Charles Brewster Randolph from 1905, which I thought was really cool. It's about 51 pages, but I had GPT rewrite it, specifically pulling out the folklore stuff for us. So, the Mandrake Root has haunted medicine for thousands of years, living in the uneasy space between cure and curse. Belonging to the nightshade family, its thick, forked roots often grow in the shape uncannily like the human body, and for centuries, this resemblance convinced people it must hold power over human health. In the ancient doctrine of signatures, where a plant's appearance was thought to reveal its use, like a walnut being good for the brain, right? And there's a few other, like we just talked about, horse chestnuts, conkers, like being good for testicle health and reproduction. Yeah. In the ancient doctrine of signatures, where a plant's the mandrake's human-like form made it a natural remedy for human ailments. Writers as early as Dioscorides recorded it as an anesthetic steeped in wine to create a draught that could dull pain or even induce unconsciousness during surgery. A patient might be made to drink a small cup before an amputation or other painful procedures, though the dose was perilously difficult to judge. Too little, and it would fail to ease the suffering. Too much, and the patient might slip into delirium or never wake up at all. Still, in a world with little else to offer, a mandrake root became one of the earliest and most infamous narcotics in a healer's kit. I wonder if there's any mention of that in Outlander when she is doing her nursing. It was also believed to soothe the troubled mind. In tiny amounts, it was given for melancholy, convulsions, or even madness. Externally, grated mandrake was rubbed into the skin to ease rheumatism or nerve pain. The idea was that the narcotic spirit would seep into the flesh and quiet the body's unrest. As we know, the skin breathes, it can absorb lots and lots of things that way. Yep. But here too, the line between medicine and poison, razor thin again. The same chemical that dulled pain, tropane alkaloids like atropine, hyoscyamine, and scopolamine could just as easily twist the senses, leaving the sufferer dizzy, flushed, hallucinating, and gasping for air. Folk healers didn't know the chemistry, but they knew the consequences, and so mandrake was handled with great caution. Its uses extended beyond the physical. Besides its human-like shape, mandrake became a fertility charm. Couples hoping for children placed the root beneath their bed, or women carried small, dried pieces of mandrake as amulets. In some tradition, the root was bathed, dressed in silk, and even fed offerings like wine or milk, treated less like a plant and more like a household spirit with power to protect the family's health. Biblical texts hint at this reputation too. In the Song of Song, the mandrakes are said to give full fragrance. Their scent tied to love, fertility, and the mysteries of the body. But with every blessing comes a curse. Mandrake was notorious for its hallucinogenic effects. Those who ingested too much often experienced wild visions of flight, of transformation, of journeys around the worlds. These effects tie the root to witchcraft lore, where mandrake was whispered to be an ingredient in the witch's flying ointment, salves that allowed the body to travel in spirit while it lay unconscious in the flesh. Here, medicine blurred seamlessly into magic, and magic bled into medicine. The ritual of harvesting mandrake reflects its dangerous reputation. Across Europe, people believed that the root, of course, screamed when pulled from the ground, and its cry could kill whoever heard it. To protect themselves, harvesters followed elaborate instructions: dig at dawn, plug the ears with wax, tie the root to a black dog, and
dog,
right?
Yeah.
And let the animal pull it free while the gatherers looked away. In German folklore, the Alran, a mandrake doll carved from bryony root, was dressed in fine clothes, bathed in wine every Friday, and kept in a locked box.
I want to be bathed in wine.
Oh my! That's a good way to get drunk.
And kept in a lockbox.
Kept in a lockbox. Oh no!
Never be sober again. I just keep inhaling the wine fumes.
The fumes. Treated properly, it was believed to reveal secrets, multiply money, and heal the sick in the household. Neglect it, and it might wither, taking the family's fortune with it. What stands out in all these traditions is how medicine and superstition were never separate. To take mandrake internally was both a medicinal act and magical risk. To keep a root under the bed was as much a folk cure as it was a charm against misfortune. For villagers and physicians alike, the mandrake was a plant that demanded respect. Healer, poisoner, trickster, and talisman all bound together in one strange human-shaped root. In the end, the mandrake's role in folk medicine is less about what it actually cured and more about what it represented. It embodied the oldest truth about healing, that remedies can be double-edged. The power always comes with danger, and sometimes the cure and the curse are one and the same.
In the old world, harvesting a mandrake root was never just a matter of pulling a plant from the ground. It was an ordeal, a performance, and in many ways, the ritual itself became part of the medicine. Theophrastus, writing in the 3rd century BC, gave precise instructions. Okay, this is intense. Okay, first the harvester was to draw 3 circles around the plant with a sword, cutting the soil while facing west. Only then could the digging begin. And even then, it wasn't silent work. To protect himself, the harvester had to dance around the plant, calling out obscene jokes and bawdy phrases. You had to talk dirty to it, okay? Lewd talk as a kind of charm to ward off danger. Later traditions made it even darker. The mandrake was said to scream when pulled from the earth, and that scream could kill. The only safe way, they said, was to tie the root to a black dog. Again, it is very repetitive. The animal would be coaxed to run, tearing the root free, and the dog would die in place of its master. Now, to us, this sounds like a grim superstition, but for the people who practiced it, these rituals framed the mandrake as so powerful and so otherworldly that a sacrifice was required just to touch it. And the danger wasn't a drawback, it was proof of potency. If the root demanded death to be taken, then surely it held the power to heal pain, to stir desire, treat madness or melancholy. And that's what made the mandrake so unique in folk medicine. The ritual of harvesting was as important as the remedy itself. To drink a draught of mandrake wine wasn't just to consume a narcotic root, it was to swallow the result of a dangerous pact, medicine purchased through blood, laughter, and ritual, like a blood pact, basically, right? In that way, every dose carried not just chemistry, but myth. The patient believed because the healer had risked everything to bring it forth. It's basically like playing Bloody Mary to get this thing.
Oh, God, yeah.
It seems like, right? Dioscorides in De Materia Medica in the 1st century described the uses of Mandragora as a narcotic, analgesic, and abortifacient. Abortificant. He also claimed a love potion could be concocted from it. Dioscorides, as a practicing physician, writes that some in his profession may administer a ladle or 1 cyathus or 45 milliliters, which is 1.5 US fluid ounces, of mandrake reduction made from the root boiled in wine until it shrivels to a third before performing surgery. Pliny the Elder also repeats that a 1 cyathus dose of mandragora potion is drunk by the patient, also before incisions or punctures are made on his body. A simple juice can be produced by mashing the root or scoring and leaching out, or a reduction type made by boiling, for which Dioscorides provides distinguishing terms, though Pliny lumps these into, quote, juice. Just the stripped bark may be infused for a longer period, or the fruits can be sun-dried into a condensed juice, and so forth. The plant is supposedly strong-smelling, and its use for eye remedy is also noted.
In the writings of the ancients, the mandrake wasn't just one plant. It came in genders we touched on. Both Dioscorides, Dio, and Pliny described 2 kinds. A pale whitish root considered the male mandrake, and a darker, purplish variety called the female. This distinction wasn't simply botanical, it carried symbolic weight. The pale male root was linked with potency and fertility, while the darker female root was associated with mystery and desire. Pliny goes even further, tying the plant's very shape to its magical influence. If a man came into possession of a mandrake shaped like male genitals, it was thought to work as an attraction charm, essentially a natural aphrodisiac. Women, Pliny claimed, would be irresistibly drawn to its owner. He even preserves one scandalous story from the island of Lesbos. There, a man named Phaon is said to have obtained such a phallic-shaped mandrake root. With it, he somehow inspired the great poet Sappho herself to fall in love with him. Now, whether the tale is more gossip than truth hardly matters. The point is clear. The mandrake's human-like form gave it erotic power. A reputation as a love charm capable of bending even the most brilliant minds and the most guarded hearts. This is where folk medicine and sympathetic magic blur into one another. The mandrake wasn't only boiled in wine for surgery or rubbed against aching joints, it was also carried as a charm for attraction, a plant body meant to stir human bodies. Male and female roots became symbols of sexual energy, used in ritual to inflame passions and aid conception. So when we look back at the mandrake's divided forms, white and dark, male and female, kind of like the sun and the moon. You know, we are always that dark aspect, the feminine, the unseen. We're seeing more than herbal classification. We're seeing how ancient people read the human body into the plant shape and color, and in doing so, turning it into one of the most enduring symbols of love, lust, and longing. A parallel has been noted between the lore of the mandrake's harvest from a hangman and from the eugenin of Medea. So like a tonic that Medea gave to Jason, which was made from plant fed with the body fluid from chained Prometheus. The ancient Greeks also burned mandrake as incense during that time. So you're moxibustion with mandrake?
Oh shit. Yeah. So if that's poisonous,
they're blasting out.
inhaling the smoke from that, I'm sure, will fucking knock you the fuck out or send you on a wild ride or kill you.
Yeah.
So now getting into biblical references, 2 references to quote love plants occur in the Jewish scriptures. Several later translations into different languages follow Septuagint and Vulgate and use mandrake as the plant as the proper meaning in both Genesis 30:14 through 16 and Song of Songs 7:12 through 13. Others follow the example of the Luther Bible and provide a more literal translation. The Dudaim was considered an aphrodisiac, or rather a treatment for infertility, as in Genesis 30:14. The anecdote concerns the fertility of the wives of Jacob, who engendered the 12 tribes of Israel, headed by his many children. Though he had a firstborn son, Reuben, by Leah, which was a marriage forced upon him, his favorite wife, Rachel. Oh, the one that the childless Rachel.
Sister
so
wives.
this seems like the case we were talking about before, the sister wives, right? So Rachel couldn't bear a child. The firstborn son was with Leah. That marriage was forced upon him. His favorite wife, though, was Rachel, and she couldn't bear the child, okay? So Leah's younger sister remained barren and coveted the Dudaim. This plant was found by the boy Reuben, who supposedly entrusted it to Leah, who would barter it in exchange for allowing her to spend a night in Jacob's bed.
Hold on. Wait. So Leah, okay, this is some gossipy shit here. Hang on.
I was gonna say that. They're spilling the tea right now.
Leah had Reuben. Reuben
Okay.
finds the root and he gives it to his mom, and she's trying to use it to get back in her husband's bed, like as like this aphrodisiac thing. So
sound like
here, mama, have sex with Dada. Here's a plant.
However, the
Okay.
herbal treatment does not seem to work on Rachel, and instead, Leah, who had previously had 4 sons but had been infertile for a long while, became pregnant once more, so that in time she gave birth to 2 more sons, Issachar and Zebulun, and a daughter, Dinah. Thus, Rachel had to endure several more years of torment being childless, while her sister could flaunt her prolific motherhood until God intervened, allowing for Rachel's conception of Joseph. The final verses of chapter 7 of Song of Songs, verses 12 through 13, mention the plant once again. Let us get up early to the vineyards, let us see if the vine flourish, whether the tender grape appear, and the pomegranates bud forth. There will I give thee my loves. The mandrakes give a smell, and at our gates are all manner of pleasant fruits, new and old, which I have laid upon for thee, O my beloved. And that is from the Bible, King James Version, Song of Songs, chapter 7, verses 12 through 13. That's a wild story.
What in the what? I gotta read that whole
That's
story
some
now.
Jerry Springer shit. In the Christian allegorical bestiary Physiologus, the chapter on the elephant claims that the male becomes minded to create an offspring. It leads its mate to the growing ground for the female to find the Mandragora and come into estrus. The female then brings the root to the male, which in turn become inflamed, and then they mate, making the female immediately pregnant. Felipe de Thoune's bestiary in Anglo-Norman verse has a chapter on the Mandragora, which states it consists of 2 kinds of roots and must be extracted by the method of using a dog. So continuing with this character Josephus, using a dog as a surrogate to uproot the dangerous herb. This is saying the dangerous herbs used in an exorcism. Okay, this is a new little bit of information, right? The herb has been equated to the Mandragora in subsequent scholarship. According to Josephus, it was no easy task for the harvester because it will move away from the hand which will grab it, and though it can be stopped by pouring a woman's urine or menstrual blood on it, touching it will cause certain death. So it seems like the only thing that will stop this little gallows man or little urine thief, a woman's urine or a woman's menstrual blood.
It's so funny.
Yeah. So that was the only way that they could safely obtain it. I guess once the dog pulled it out of the ground, they just threw like blood or urine on it to stop it in its tracks, it sounds like.
Interesting that it's tied with exorcisms.
Right. Yeah. So it says a furrow must be dug around the root until its lower part is exposed. Then a dog is tied to it, after which the person tying the dog must get away. I guess that was the little man off to the side in that other painting we were looking at.
Get away.
Get away, little man. And then the dog then endeavors to follow him, so easily pulls up the root, but then dies suddenly instead of his master, I guess from the scream of this, the Mandrake root. After this, the root can be handled without fear, but I guess they gotta throw the urine on it first. Here, Josephus only refers to this plant as baras, after the place where it grows, in the valley Wadi Zarqa, covering the north side of the Machiavelli in present-day Jordan, and thinks the plant is a type of rue of the citrus family. However, it is considered to be identifiable as mandrake based on textual comparisons. I'm interested to learn more about the exorcism shit, because it mentioned that, but it didn't go too, down that rabbit hole, but I kind
No, it did not. So Tom actually gave me this huge book.
Oh, wow.
It's called The Women's Dictionary of Symbols and Sacred Objects by Barbara G. Walker. And I need to use this more because it has so many things we've already talked about.
Right.
And then he gave me this other giant doorstop
Holy-
book called The Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets by Harper and
he
Walker as well.
Did he just have these laying around? He was like, take them.
Yep. He's read Women Who Run with Wolves. He loves Jungian archetypes and things like that. But anyway.
Another point for healthy masculinity.
I know. Well, yeah. Yeah. So I want to keep these close by. I wonder if May Apple is in here. It has so many symbols.
That's wild.
The
That's
stars
cool.
we've already done. Oh, just everything. So it had a little bit on Mandrake. Most of this we've already read. But if there's anything that we missed, I guess we'll know. I see testicle here, so let me get to that. Okay.
Yeah. And also exorcism, does it say anything more about that?
Let them say. So this says, because it was mentioned in the Bible, medieval theologians went to great lengths to interpret the mandrake as a symbol of Christian faith. Its flowers represented the Holy Ghost. Its root was Christ. The plant's growth demonstrated the growth of true piety, and so on. At the same time, ancient traditions and the use of mandrake in witches' recipes suggested quite different interpretations. It was called phallus of the field, Satan's apple, devil's testicles, and egg of the genie in Arabia. The French knew it as main de gloire, like the hand of glory, sometimes contracted to Magnolia, described as a little fairy spirit representing the plant. Old Testament Hebrew for mandrake fruit was dudaim.
Oh, yeah, I
Love
forget how
apples.
I pronounced it.
Josephus claimed that mandrakes could be taken from the ground only after being soaked with a woman's urine or menstrual blood. There seemed to be great difficulties involving in uprooting the plant. It was universally believed that in the Middle Ages, that when it was taken out of the Mother Earth, the mandrake would emit a scream that would kill or drive insane anyone who heard it. The only way to obtain the plant was to tie it to a black dog, often identified as Hell's creature, to its stem and run away with ears covered, so the dog would be uprooting it and suffer the consequences. The twisted, often two-legged root were so frequently viewed as an embryonic human being that Paracelsus maintained that he could create a new person by combining the mandrake with human semen and menstrual blood. Mandrake was much recommended in magical recipes, especially as a putative, narcotic, and antispasmodic. Sometimes it was called the herb of beaten women, Jillian, because mandrake berries were believed to remove the black and blue bruises inflicted by husbands' corrective administrations. Girl, the original.
And they literally used that constitute spell on a man who was abusing her.
Yes. This last little bit just says
All
about the
connected.
May apple. The original European mandrake is a member of the potato family Solanaceae, indigenous to the Mediterranean area. In the United States, the name of mandrake was erroneously applied to the May apple, and the name stuck. Therefore, the plant, too, is known as mandrake. So there you go.
Wow. Well, okay. That had some little bits of information that were pretty cool that we haven't really talked about yet.
Yes.
Bummed that didn't go down the exorcism rabbit hole. I want to know more about that.
Right.
And then I was also going to say the black dog coming back up. I'm surprised this never came. I don't remember talking about the mandrake at all in our black dog episode. Do you?
No, ma'am.
Interesting.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Periwinkle.
This is a really creepy piece of art. What is that?
This is the look your cat gives you when you're taking a shit. He's going to the door.
That is Coraline to a T.
So judgy.
Yeah.
Alone.
Formerly owned by Carl Lehmann Wien, now in the Germanisches National Museum. Okay, this is an Alron in its case. So is this supposed to be an Alron? Did we say that's another word for the mandrake root? Is that a mandrake root in a case?
That's like the German, you take care of it like a house spirit.
Okay.
You feed it.
Okay. That is wild. All right. So yeah, now we're going to talk more about this Elron, or in the female form, Elarun. The word carries echoes of old languages linked to elves, dream. Oh, can I use it? Can I use it? Demons! Dream demons. Oh, did you see the Instagram story I posted of the sleep demon?
No.
I was like, this is our sleep,
my God.
this is our sleep demon. this thing.
Oh, yeah, I did see that. I saw it.
I'm like, our sleep demon's better than your sleep demon.
Oh my
Imagine
God.
waking up to that.
That is awesome.
Anyway. So, yes, this Alron is also, it's linked to elves, dream demons, and whispers of secret knowledge. Over time, it came to mean a root charm, something half plant, half spirit, with the power to change a person's fate. Because true mandrakes don't actually grow in Germany, people made substitutes. Roots from plants like bryony, iris, gentian, tormentil, and even alpine leek were carved or shaped into little human figures. These became the famous Alron dolls. Sometimes hair was, quote, grown on them by poking the root with millet grains and letting sprouts appear, giving the doll a more lifelike look. I'm sure they were horrifying.
Yeah, like a chia pet.
Yeah. These dolls were treated with the greatest care, though, like the Tamagotchi.
Tamagotchi!
They might be locked away in boxes or wrapped in silks of red and white. And each Friday, the root would be washed with red wine, bathed, and even dressed in a fresh white shirt at the new moon. Neglecting the ritual meant losing the doll's power. And what power it had, according to legend, the Alron doll was said to bring luck and wealth, doubling coins placed beneath it overnight. It could reveal secrets or the future if questioned. It made its owner beloved by everyone and promised children to the childless. Some stories even claim that emperors kept these enchanted roots. Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II is said to have owned a pair himself. It's like everybody's got one. It's like a labubu. Like, what the fuck? Of course, the magic came with darker origins. Folklore insisted the mandrakes sprouted beneath the gallows from the fluids of hanged men, urine, semen, or even the last agony of their bodies. This gave rise to another name. Oh, Jesus. Galgan Manlane. Little man of the gallows. In some tales, thieves who died on the rope gave birth to these uncanny plants, their souls fused with the roots that grew below. Harvesting such a root was dangerous. German tradition called for a black dog to pull it from the ground, echoing older Mediterranean legends about the fatal scream of the mandrake. Other rituals involved stuffing the ears with wax, making the sign of the cross 3 times, and digging it up before dawn on a Friday. That's very precise. Once owned, the Alron doll became part of the family. It could be passed down, but only under strict rules, like a sourdough starter.
Your grandma's Pyrex.
Exactly. When the owner died, the youngest son inherited the doll, but only if bread and a coin were buried with the father. If the youngest had already died, the inheritance passed to the elder son, but the deceased younger one still had to receive his symbolic bread and coin.
Fuck all those middle kids.
Holy shit. This is very, by the book, very precise. So, in German lore, the mandrake wasn't just a plant. It was a companion spirit, a household talisman of immense responsibility. To keep it was to court wealth, luck, and knowledge, but also to shoulder a pact with something that had one foot in this world and one in the other. So the Alron Drak, I don't know if this is different than what we just read about the Alron. So the Alron Drak, it has been noted that the household kobold may be known regionally as Alron or Drak, with the same etymological relationship. The Drak name does not descend directly from Latin Draco, meaning dragon, but from the Mandragora. But folklore about fiery dragons then did get conflated with the notion of the house sprite, according to Hemito von Doderer. Doderer provides commentary that, quote, field dragons and mandrake fused with the folklore of the house kobold. Is any of this making sense?
A house kobold just sounds like a house spirit.
Okay.
And like the names of everything are kind of getting conflated. So like this mandrake, Draco, Drake, dragon kind of is like a little field dragon. So that also is getting tied into their folklore.
Okay. All right. Just making sure what I'm saying is making sense, because like a lot of the stuff is hard to pronounce and like some of the sentences are just...
You're good.
Like it sounds like gobbledygook to me.
Wikipedia is not the best.
Everything's just like blending into each other. So Heinrich Marzel's entry in the HDA ventures that the Alron depicted as flying a flying creature laying golden eggs is in fact a dragon. Though the two Swiss examples, the animal is unidentified, the Alrachin living in the woods at the foot of the Hochwang near Chur, or the Alrune is a red-crested bird, which others rumored might generate a thaler coin each day for the owner.
So the mandrake somehow got wings, perhaps, as if like a dragon?
That's what it sounds like, or a red-crested bird, like maybe like a phoenix or something. I don't know. Then we have the Mandaglois. How do you say that?
Mandagora?
This is French. I am not French.
Magick.
Magick. In France, there is also the tradition that the Mandragora, the mandrake, is harvested from under a gibbet. What's a gibbet?
Look it up. What is a gibbet? Oh, like a
gallows. Yeah, gallows-type structure from which the dead or dying bodies of criminals were hanged on public display to deter undeterred other existing or potential criminals. So yeah, it was a means of public execution, it seems like. Mandrakes were usually harvested under the gibbet because they said that like droppings of fluid, bodily fluids would fall under the gallows and I guess fuse with the soil, and that from that would grow or spring the Mandrake Root. There is a testimony collected firsthand by Saint Pelay in 1781, in which a peasant claimed to have kept a mandragora found at the base of a mistletoe-bearing oak. The creature was said to be a type of mole. It had to be fed regularly with meat, bread, etc., or suffered dire consequences. Two who failed suffered death, but in return, whatever one gave to the mandragora, a double amount or value was restored next day, even an écu of money, thus enriching its keeper. So I guess whoever fed it more got more wealth, it sounds like.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is very familiars oriented. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doing
like suckling from the teat or whatever.
Feeding it, the meat and the bread, etc.
Mm-hmm. An excerpt from Transcendental Magic, its doctrine and ritual by 19th century clergyman, occultist, and ceremonial magician Eliphas, how do you say that name? Eliphas Levi suggests the plant might hint at mankind's terrestrial origin. So like aliens?
Okay.
And we're talking aliens here? The natural mandragora is a filamentous root which more or less presents as a whole either the figure of a man or that of the virile members. It is slightly narcotic, and an aphrodisiacal virtue was ascribed to it by the ancients, who represented it as being sought by Thessalian sorcerers for the composition of philtres. Is this root the umbilical vestige of our terrestrial origin? We dare not seriously affirm it, but all the same, it is certain that man came out of the slime of the earth, and his first appearance must have been in the form of a rough sketch. The analogies of nature make this notion necessarily admissible, at least as a possibility. The first men were, in this case, a family of gigantic sensitive mandragores animated by the sun, who rooted themselves up from the earth. This assumption not only does not exclude, but on the contrary, positively supposes creative will and the providential cooperation of a first cause, which we have reason to call, quote, God. Some alchemists, impressed by this idea, speculated on the culture of the mandragora and experimented in the artificial reproduction of a soil sufficiently fruitful and a sun sufficiently active to humanize the said root and thus create men without the concurrence of the female. So they're saying that this, I guess, the mandragora could just manifest itself out of the soil without needing to, I guess, impregnate a woman to spawn another life. It could just spring from this. Okay, so
this is very much a creation story, if you want to like Christianize it, as Adam coming out from the clay. God made man from clay. So that is really interesting. That are we, if you want to go that route, Christianize, okay. But like another take on it could be like, were we once these mandragora that have since been brought forth from the earth, via pulling from the root, and when we come into the world we scream, and cry.
Oh, right.
So that's pretty neat.
We've evolved.
Yeah. Better,
some
faster,
of us
stronger.
Some of us have evolved anyway, right? That is very interesting. I have never heard of this whole, I guess, creation myth before. Yeah, others who regarded humanity as the synthesis of animals despaired about vitalizing the Mandragora, but they crossed monstrous pairs and projected human seed into animal earth only for the production of shameful crimes and barren deformities. The following is taken from Jean-Baptiste Pitois' The History of Practice of Magic in 1870 and explains a ritual for creating a mandrake. And this comes directly from that book. Would you like to make a mandragora as powerful? This sounds like an infomercial.
Do it.
Some infomercial music behind this. Would you like to make a mandragora as powerful as the homunculus, little man in a bottle, so praised by Paracelsus? Then find a root of the plant called the bryony. Take it out of the ground on a Monday, the day of the moon, a little time after the vernal equinox, cut off the ends of the root, and bury it at night in some country churchyard in a dead man's grave. For 30 days, water it with cow's milk, in which 3 bats have been drowned. When the 31st day arrives, take it out of the root in the middle of the night and dry it in an oven heated with branches of verbena. Then wrap it up in a piece of dead man's winding sheet and carry it with you everywhere. Ding!
On shelves now.
In stores everywhere. But like, what the hell? That is so specific.
I love that.
Right? They just tell you how to grow your own little man. It's basically a chia pet.
Yeah, or like a, what are those called? Sea monkey.
Yeah, or those those little plastic things, like if you put it in like warm water, it just like expands to the size of like...
Yeah.
Crazy. That is wild.
Let's get into some magic and witchcraft through Scott Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs, found on pages 167, 168. Correspondences: Atropa, Mandragora, Mandragora officinale, poison. So some folk names we've covered: Alron, Anthropomorphone, Baras, brain thief, horse thief. Thursegum, Circea, like a plant of Circe we talked about, Galgan or Galgen Munchen, Gallows, herb of Circe, Hexenmunchen, German for witches, Mandel, Ladykins, Mandragon, Mandragore, Mencken, Alan Mencken, Mannequin, Raccoonberry, Semihomo, Wild Lemon, Woman Drake, Zaberwurzel, Sorcerer's Root. This is classifying it as a masculine gender. However, we talked about earlier through that card deck, it can be tied to Venus and Aphrodite, giving it that feminine aspect. The planet is Mercury with the element of fire, also connected with Hecate. Hathor, Mighty Hecate.
The resurrection.
I see the connection now. It's right there on the page.
Right.
Powers in fertility, protection, money, love, health. A whole mandrake root placed on the mantle in a home will give the house protection, fertility, and prosperity. Mandrake is also hung on a headboard for protection during sleep, carried to attract love, and worn to prevent contraction of illnesses. Where there is mandrake, demons! I got one! Cannot reside. And so the root is used in exorcisms. Okay, I was worried that I would not have a demons this episode.
You got it in.
To activate a dried mandrake root, i.e. to bring its powers out of hibernation, place it in some prominent location in the house and leave it there undisturbed for 3 days. Okay, Persevia. And place it in warm water overnight. Afterward, the root is activated and may be used in any magical practice. The water in which the root was bathed can be sprinkled at windows, doorways, or the house to protect it, or onto people to purify them. This might be the safer route to go. Putting it in water and just using the water as a proxy and putting it on doors and windows. The mandrake has also long served as a proper in image magic, but its extreme scarcity and high cost unusually forces the magician and witch to look for substitutes. Ash root, apples, the root of the bryony, the American May apple, and many others have been used. So, money placed beside a mandrake root, especially silver coins, is said to double, and the scent of a mandrake can help cause sleep.
Okay, so that piqued my curiosity and it had me asking, like, what does a mandrake root smell like? Right? So I looked up mandrake scent, and according to an article on link.springer.com titled The Fragrance of Biblical Mandrake, and this was published in July of 1994, it seems that the scripture clearly connects the fragrance of mandrake with sexuality, which is the only known account of direct link between odor and human sexual response. I'm thinking like pheromones, maybe, you know, how
Okay.
they're linking the odor between human sexual response. That's the only thing that makes sense in my brain. Like, you know how they like sell those like little pheromone perfumes that you can like put
Yeah,
on?
yeah, yeah. That's
Um,
nicer than what I was thinking. I was thinking like discharge smell.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, baby. So it says 55 principal odoriferous constituents were identified in rather bizarre chemical composition of mandrake aroma. It will be of assistance for a suggestive scientific study of potential aphrodisiac effect of mandrake fragrance. Mandragora, also known as mandrake, has a complex and distinctive scent. It is often described as earthy and intense with a slightly sweet undertone reminiscent of ginseng. As it dries, the scent can develop a musky, woody character, sometimes with hints of tobacco. The overall aroma is a blend of moldy and soil-like notes with a robust herbaceous profile that can also evoke licorice. This sounds like it might, like, I can see Jimmy smelling like this.
Ew.
Like musky, woody,
Yeah, yeah.
a little
A
moldy,
little moldy. I see that.
tobacco.
Yeah.
A little tobacco.
I see that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So here's a more detailed breakdown. The root of the plant has a strong earthy smell similar to damp soil. Some describe a sweet, almost fruity undertone, potentially similar to the ginseng. As the scent dries, it can develop that musky and woody quality, sometimes with that tobacco-like aroma. And then the strong herbaceous component, that's what is reminiscent of the licorice. The overall scent is complex. Let's see some variations. Some perfumes containing Mandragora, like Mandragora by Edgardo Cellini, highlight spicy, herbal, and even fruity notes alongside the earthy and woody base. According to perfumology.com, they actually sell a mandrake perfume for a whopping $175.
Damn.
And they claim that mandrake actually smells like of a strong red apple.
Interesting.
Because of this, they say in their product description, they say we gave the fragrance a red fruity heart, but grounded it with birch leaf and birch root to suggest the roots of the flower dug into the soil. We also gave the fragrance a sharp aromatic note to suggest its infamous deadly shriek. Finally, quote, deadly addiction accord lends a creamy gourmand wood quality to pull it all together. So you can actually buy that right off their website. It's a mandrake perfume.
That is witchy as fuck.
Isn't that? I thought that was wild. You can use mandrake in your spell work if you have access to it, or if you want to use like a different kind of herb, like in place of it, like a ginger root or
I've had carrots that grow together.
yeah,
They give
yes,
that. Carrots grow a little funky sometimes.
exactly. So if you can get your hands on a root veggie that looks kind of like similar to that of a mandrake, you can use it in place because, like, you know, I don't see any mandrake roots growing around here anytime soon, you know. So intention, it's all about the intention. So this spell, this is a mandrake money spell, and this is by Verna Gates on Llewellyn.com. And this says, Mandragora officinarum, that most magical of herbs can be used to gain money. First, activate the root by gathering it in a full moon with the point of a silver blade. Or again, if you have some carrots growing in your garden, go pull one of those up in place of it if you don't have some mandrake on hand. Clean the root in spring water and place it into a velvet-lined box. Put the box in an active part of the house and leave it undisturbed for 3 days, Brasidia. On the third night, soak it in warm spring water overnight. The root is now ready for magic. Place the root back into the velvet-lined box, this time with silver coins. Lock the box and store it away, and your money will double. It's like a set it and forget it spell. Love those.
Yeah.
Don't have to check up on it too often. You just put it away, let it do its thing, and let your intentions kind of simmer in the back of your mind, you know? And then I found this really cute, I guess, Poppet doll. I don't know if, I guess you can use this in spell work or as not a tag lock, like something in sympathetic magic, right? You can use it as a puppet doll. You could stuff it with, you know, whatever you want and use it for those intentions. So here's how you can make a mandrake as a puppet. So this, did I say where this came from? This comes from artcraftandnatureshand.wordpress.com. So this is from somebody's personal blog. So a very old folklore belief revolving around the mandrake plant is that they have the ability to host the spirit of a demon. I can't do it again. I used mine already. The spirit of a demon or spirit who can in times of need give you a consultation or advice. The plant, however, is highly toxic, and the act of harvesting these plants also has a lot of superstitions revolving around it as well. Obviously, it can kill the scream can kill kill anyone who hears it, but a dog can drown out the sound of the screams with its barking and die in place of protecting everyone else, right? The dog is the the martyr, right? It dies to protect everybody else. The traditional way of creating a mandragora is plucking the mandrake from the ground, chopping off most of its root, leaving only the shape of the man attached. It's then buried in the graveyard and fed with spoiled cow's milk for 31 days when it is harvested again and dried out while being wrapped in verbena. By this point, the spirit has been caught and it can be carried with you wherever you go. This person says, personally, I found this method to be rather grim, and I love mandrakes, but I'm not a fan of working with dead things. Skulls, bones, grave dirt, and blood are not in my list of ingredients, so I decided to craft a doll instead. Here's a tutorial on the mandragora I crafted and a picture that I gave permission for anyone to print out and use the template to make their own. Okay, so I see what this person did. They're using this mandrake root as a stand-in for using an actual mandrake root.
This is adorable. I
Right?
want to make one. How cute.
We should make one. We should do a
so
live or something making them.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. So to craft a magic mandragora or a mandrake doll, what you'll need: some threading needle and a darning needle. Hand stitched is best, but you can use a sewing machine. A brown thread and yarn, black buttons, brown material, stuffing, and herbs like dandelion leaves, red clover, moss, spruce bark, and sage, amber shards. Or use whatever you want to stuff it with, whatever your intentions are. You need scissors, fake leaves, and some pins. First, you want to cut out the template and trace it onto the brown fabric twice. Then cut out the design from the fabric. Then she says she pins the two sides together so I could stitch them together with the threading needle and brown thread, leaving the space between the legs open. I guess that's where she's gonna stuff all the herbs and stuff. First, I used a straight stitch all the way around, and then I used a loop stitch around the edge of the fabric to ensure that it would hold tight. After completing the stitching, I carefully turned the fabric out, inside out, so the seams were on the inside of the doll. This was a bit tough, and I ended up having to take a lot of time to make sure I didn't rip it. I also had to use something to push the arms and the crown out. Then I prepared some herbs in the mortar and pestle. You can stuff them in without crushing the herbs, but I find it much easier after they've been crushed. I use a dandelion for protection, and because a mandragora feeds off the milk, it was dandelion synonymous with cows drinking milk and the milk turning yellow or something. I don't know.
I could see that, yeah.
Because a mandragora feeds off the milk. Clover for luck, spruce for controlling the magic, sage for purification, and moss for power. Okay, after stuffing the head and the arms with stuffing, I placed the herbs in the belly of the doll with the amber shards to give it life, and continued to stuff the rest of it before closing the seam between the legs. Once the doll was closed, I proceeded to add the details using the darning needle and the brown yarn. I went through the tips of the arms and the legs, leaving some string hanging as a root with a knot to secure it. Then I put random stitches around the doll's body to define the creases already present and attach the buttons for eyes. I also used the yarn to stitch a mouth and attach leaves to the heads of the mandragora. Every time I needed more yarn, I started from the limbs of the doll to create another root before continuing to stitch. This got a bit tough on the fingers, and I found that using a pair of pliers to push and pull the needle through helped a lot. After all that work, this is how my Mandragora doll turned out. Pretty cute, huh? And now, to continue to bring the doll to life, it will be planted in a flower pot and fed dandelion milk once a day for 31 days by dabbing it to the lips of the doll. Oh, so she's literally feeding it the dandelion milk. The day it is born from the flower pot is when I'll name the doll and put it to magical use. If you have any questions about crafting this doll, then feel free to ask. I will also make a second one to put up in the craft shop soon.
This looks totally doable. You can just get some felt at a thrift store, and they have those fake silk flowers. Get some leaves, or you can even cut out green felt and get some buttons.
Right.
This is adorable.
Yeah. And you can also probably make this out of salt dough. I've done salt dough goddess dolls before. And then I dress it, especially for Mabon or even Samhain. You can dress it with clove and cinnamon and spice, and it smells so good. And it's cool to have on your altar if you don't have pets or children to mess with it.
Yeah, that's not something you're putting in a pot.
Right. Or you could put it in a standing pot and not in your garden.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us about some dreams?
Let's talk about it. What does it mean when you dream about mandrake? So this source says dreaming of mandrake often signifies confronting potent unconscious material, hidden potential, or perilous transformation. It taps into deep-seated fears and desires. Some other interpretations mean it's tapping into a rich vein of symbolism deeply rooted in ancient folklore, magic, and the human psyche. The mandrake plant, famed for its anthropomorphic root and legendary deadly scream, often symbolizes potent hidden forces. Psychologically, Mythologically, dreaming of Mandrake may represent confronting the shadow self, those unacknowledged or repressed parts of your own personality, as explored by Carl Jung. It can signify unearthed secrets, primal instincts, or powerful unconscious content rising to the surface. Culturally, the Mandrake is steeped in associations with fertility, danger, poison, healing, and witchcraft. Therefore, its appearance in a dream might touch upon these themes of transformation, both creative and destructive, risk, hidden potential, and the perilous journey of self-discovery. Interpreting such dreams require careful consideration of the dream's context and the dreamer's personal feelings, like fear, fascination, curiosity, as the Mandrake embodies both profound healing potential and significant danger. It often serves as a symbol for things deeply buried, powerful, and demanding respect. Dreams featuring Mandrake can unfold in various ways, each offering unique insights. A common scenario involves finding or digging up Mandrake. This often symbolizes the uncovering of hidden knowledge, repressed aspects of the self, perhaps relating to Jung's concept of the shadow, or untapped potential. The emotional reaction upon finding it, which could be fascination, fear, curiosity, is key to understanding its personal meaning. Another frequent motif of hearing the Mandrake scream as it's pulled from the earth, a direct reference to folklore. This typically represents the pain or psychic distress associated with confronting a difficult truth, releasing pent-up emotional energy, or a warning about the danger of unearthing certain issues too quickly. Some may dream of using a Mandrake in a potion or ritual, suggesting a desire to harness potent, perhaps risky forces for transformation, healing, or control of their waking life. This connects the Mandrake's historical use of magic and alchemy. Conversely, one might dream of being given a Mandrake, perhaps by a mysterious figure. This can symbolize receiving a heavy responsibility, a burdensome secret, or a powerful but potentially dangerous gift of opportunity. Seeing a Mandrake growing or behaving unnaturally, like moving or growing rapidly, might reflect anxieties about uncontrolled growth in some areas of life or uncanny power of the unconscious. Finally, simply observing a Mandrake without interacting could signify an awareness of potent hidden forces at play, either internally or externally, promoting caution and deeper investigation. Bersedia has less to say about it. She just says,
She's a woman of a few words.
correct.
Straight to the
Bersedia
point.
Ryan, the Ultimate Dictionary of Dream Language, says dreaming of Mandrake, become very possessive of your belongings and make sure you do not lose something due to irresponsibility. This is likely to occur within 5 days.
Wow, it's usually 3 days. That one takes a little longer.
That's a yeah, it'll take a little more dedication and planning.
A little more, yeah.
Oh,
seems
Lord.
Very, very
Speaking
involved.
of dreams, you saw the Jack Black Jimmy Fallon song.
Yo, yeah, I've seen that before, but it was so weird. I saw your Marco, and then literally the day after that showed up in my feed. I was like,
I
what
love
the
it.
fuck are the odds of that? So funny.
Okay.
So speaking of art and pop culture, we're gonna get into some more of that. So Love Spells and Deadly Shrieks, Illustrations of Mandrakes, circa 650 to 1927, discussing the Mandrake in his Transcendental Magic, its doctrine and ritual from 1854, the occultist magician and writer Eliphas Levi asked, is this root the umbilical vestige of our terrestrial origin? Where we were talking about the alien story before, right? We dare not seriously affirm it, but all the same, it is certain that man may come of the slime of the earth, and his first appearance must have been in the form of a rough sketch. So Levi was far from the first to be fascinated by the strange humanoid appearance of Mandrake roots. They have a long cultural history steeped in medicine, mysticism, and myth, potentially reaching as far back as ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. Since then, they have been figured in countless medical texts and pictured in herbals as little bearded men or bushy-haired women with forked root legs. These range from carefully painted manuscripts from medieval herbals to printed 18th century compendiums from across Europe and Asia. Many were illustrated versions of much older texts, remade multiple times over the centuries, preserving ancient Mandrake lore. And on this website, you can find a selection of Mandrake illustrations spanning more than 12 centuries, from medieval herbals to William Blake and beyond. And this is all in the public domain, so all these photos are free to use in your grimoire. You could print them out, do whatever you want with them. They are so cool.
They are cool.
Right?
Yeah,
Very
they're
neat.
super sweet.
Yeah, so talking mandrakes from mythology to museum collectible, a fairly recent article in the Journal of the Royal Society of Medicine asserted that mandrake is the herb that time forgot. While its fame certainly seems to have ebbed and flowed over the years, various aspects of the knowledge surrounding the plant resurfaced in different facets of 20th century popular culture. First published in 1934, the syndicated comic strip Mandrake the Magician ran in a number of from newspapers until 2002, and reprints began being published in some papers in 2013. The character Mandrake has been called the first comic strip superhero, and his powers were mostly derived from his incredibly effective hypnotic technique. This seems a different reference to the Mandrake's reputation as a narcotic, as well as the great wealth of superstitions and magical associations surrounding the plant. Interestingly, the comic's creator, Lee Falk, credited the source of his inspiration to a line in the 17th century poet's there's that name again, John Donne. The poem song begins with the lines, "Go and catch a falling star. Get with the child a mandrake root," which seems a reference to the plant's dubious powers as a fertility aid. This seems like such an odd thing to make that a comic strip would be inspired by. It's just like that random poem.
Yeah, get with child now.
The 17th century. Yeah, what? So later in the 20th century, references to the Mandrake's origins in Fallen Blood and Semen appear in Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot and John Steinbeck's The Winter of Our Discontent, as well as in French writer Michel Tournaire's take on the story of Robinson Crusoe, Friday, or The Other Island. In the late 20th century and early 21st centuries, the Mandrake appears to have made somewhat of a comeback within popular culture. An article in the Globe and Mail, published in 2000, suggests that the Mandrake's ancient use as an aphrodisiac and fertility aid is experiencing a renaissance in popularity. The story chronicles the success of a farmer in kibbutz in northern Israel in creating and marketing Mandragora, a wine from the root of the mandrake. Would you drink that wine?
That's the same kind of like, would you have those belladonna
Truffles.
chocolates? Yeah,
Yes.
truffles.
Right. All right.
I think I'm good.
Let's put this poll. Let's add this as a poll in the episode.
Okay.
I wonder how many people would. Because like a lot of people came forward and said, "I've tried those belladonna truffles," right?
That's true.
So you never know what people are willing to do. So Misha Lin was inspired by the biblical passages about the plant's aphrodisiac and fertility aiding properties and spent 3 years developing a way to produce the wine without, he's figured out a way to do this without killing people, due to the mandrake's powerful narcotic properties. At the time of publication, Lin was doing a roaring trade, and the journalist recorded many an anecdote about the wine's seemingly inexplicable powers. So to return to the magical greenhouse where a story began, it is readily apparent that J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter, is well acquainted with the myths surrounding the mandrake. The human forms and fatal cries of Rowling's mandrake are clear references to ancient legends about the dangers of extracting the plant. Moreover, the mandrake's use in the book as a restorative seems a reference to the contradictory associations long surrounding the plant as a substance capable of harming, curing, and bringing forth new life. The stupendous popularity of her books has brought myths of the mandrake to a new generation of readers to the world. If I'm being honest, the first time I've ever heard about the Mandrake Root was Harry Potter.
Agreed.
I wanted to share this Mandrake Root piece that I did for my Bohemian Magic Patreon back in 2021. This was inspired by Harry Potter. I did like this whole video time lapse. I like sketched it out, and then I did it in my sketchbook, and then I painted it with watercolors. If you look on the left-hand side of the page, I think I might have put like its properties, I don't know, magical properties or whatever.
This is so cool. Your pages are so pretty. Yeah.
And then once I was done painting it, I scanned it in and I made it into an actual grimoire page, like a printable page, kind of like on like that old parchment with like the old writing and like all the text and stuff, like the script, old time script. And I put that over on my Patreon. So I'm going to throw both that video that I did and my grimoire printable over on our Patreon as well for anybody who would like to take a look at that video and download this grimoire page.
I love this.
Little freebie. And in the video of my time lapse, I used like all the Harry Potter music and
I just want to sit in your living room and just make art, just put a show on, TV show, and just like paint and draw. It'd be so cool to see you create in real time.
It's fun. Yeah, I wish we could like sit together and just like paint. I wish we lived close enough to do stuff like that.
This is such a beautiful page. I love your little, he's just sleepy. He's a sleepy Mandragora.
Yeah, I've done a couple of these like grimoire pages. I did another one, I think with my goddess doll. Like I actually like did like a whole illustration of it.
Yeah.
Did I ever show you my salt dough goddess?
I don't think so.
I think I have one. It still smells like cinnamon a little bit. A lot of the scent kind of like faded, but I made...
That's cool.
This is salt dough. and I painted it, and I kind of dressed it with like the oil and the spices and stuff, and it smelled so good.
I love her.
And I did that for a video, but then I did an illustration of her just like I did with this Mandrake Root, and I made another grimoire page of her and in this kind of style. So it was like a style I was kind of trying on for a while. I think I kind of want to make more pages like this. It's really fun.
Very inspiring. I like this a lot.
So that is all I had for the Mandrake Root. Was there anything else?
Not that I could think of. Again, check out check this video out. Justine will put it over with our show notes and links in our bio.
I actually looked up how were Mandrake Roots used in exorcisms, and Google said this. It says Mandrake Roots were used in exorcisms primarily as a protective amulet to ward off demons and evil spirits, sometimes as a potion to expel them. Its use in exorcism is rooted in its highly poisonous and hallucinogenic properties, human-like root shape, and a body of folklore associating magical power. So I guess whoever had it prevented the demons from entering them or from entering their home.
Avi needed this. This is what Avi needs, so he doesn't get pulled into an exorcism.
Right. And so people might also place a piece on a mantle or for general household protection, or carry it as a personal charm if you want to be like Joan of Arc. Here's a bit on actual expulsion of demons, okay?
Okay.
Use in potions and brews. Though highly toxic and dangerous to ingest, Mandrake was occasionally used internally in exorcism and healing rituals. The 11th century herbarium of Apuleius prescribed a potion of Mandrake root and warm water for, quote, wistlessness, that is, devil sickness or demonical possession. The root's effects could include inducing vomiting and delirium, which might have been interpreted as the expulsion of the demonic entity. I think that was the only bit about the expulsion of demons. That's all I could find.
Twice.
You got an extra one in. That's the only other thing I could find on the expulsion. I'm sure there's a lot more if we went further down that rabbit hole, but I think that's where we'll end it for today.
All right. Cool. Okay, so we're not going to find it out and about on our typical nature walks.
No.
But if you do, take a picture and keep going.
Don't
touch it.
Don't tie your dog to it.
That's right. Yeah. If you'd like to help support the show, you can visit us at patreon.com/Magnolia Street Podcast, where you can vote about what we talk about next. You can see our monthly calendars and even get a shout out on the show. You can grab our show notes, our after hours posts, and curated playlists. You're able to join our private communities over on Facebook and Discord for live streams, watch parties, and other chats. You can unlock bonus videos and bloopers, meditations, old vault footage, spells, and ritual content, plus exclusive demos of our original music. But if Patreon's not your thing, you can still support us for free by rating our show on Spotify or Apple Podcast and leave us a review. Share us on Instagram and check out our merch through the link in our bio. But again, that's patreon.com/Magnolia Street Podcast.
We come back, we're going to be talking about the Magus, the book from the book that Vincent uses in all, Rules of Magic and Book of Magic. And also don't forget to go download our EP, Welcome to the Neighborhood. I forget the rest of the name of the title. The Magnolia Street Sessions, Volume 1. Volume 1. It's on Bandcamp. The Stina's of Bandcamp. No, the Stina's of MagnoliaStreet.bandcamp.com. We'll put all the links in our hero page. Just go check all the links, but go definitely listen to it, go stream it, get our numbers up, and send us more DMs. And if you want to send us an email, magnoliastreet@gmail.com.
magnoliastreetpodcast@gmail.com.
I'm looking up all the links. I gotta go.
All right, everybody, until next week, keep an eye out for lives, updated news. Send it to us if we don't get to it first, and we'll see you on Friday.
I'm Justina.
I'm Christina.
We'll see you next time.
At the house on Magnolia Street, would you